are calling on the ANC's national leadership to halt the upcoming conference scheduled for this weekend. Thabiso Goba, Eyewitness News.
And an amber weather warning for strong winds has come into full force across England. This comes as Storm Florence is set to impact Scotland, Northern England, North Wales and Northern Ireland. Some roads and bridges have been closed off and residents have been warned of the possibility of power cuts. A number of flights to Scotland's islands have also been cancelled, although no international flights have been affected. The amber warning is scheduled to run until 10 this evening. Gold is trading at $3,367.98 an ounce. The rand is at 18.01 to the dollar, 23.94 to the pound, 20.84 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $69.67 a barrel.
In Isando, heading towards Germiston, there's an accident seen on the R24 westbound. This is before Barbara Road, causing delays from the R21 split. And in Parktown, traffic is sluggish. This is due to roadworks on Empire Road approaching the M1.
In your sport, Mohammad Siraj stars as India beat England by 6 runs in the 5th test. Miguel Cardoso confirms imminent exit of Mamelodi Sundowns trio. And Dan Sheehan handed 4-match suspension by World Rugby.
It's a fine afternoon in Gauteng today. Temperatures have peaked at highs of between 22 and 23 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour, Mpumalanga police have confirmed the arrests of an additional 24 illegal miners at the Sheba Gold Mine near Barberton.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app, DSTV channel 856,
92.7
and 106 FM.
Very good afternoon, everyone. It's 9 minutes past 3 on Monday, the 4th of August. This is 702 Drive with me, John Perlman. Wherever you're listening to us in 702 land, welcome to the show. Hope you had a great weekend. Can anyone just go ahead and set up a drug rehabilitation center in South Africa? What rules, if any, govern this sensitive space and are they applied? We've been prompted to ask about this following a number of stories about people at these centers going missing and even being killed. More on that at 10 to 4, but in the meanwhile, please get in touch with what you might know about this. Maybe you've had direct experience, either yourself or with a family member or a friend. Call us on 072 702 1702. Some other things on the go as the harsh reality of 30% tariffs for exports to the US kicks in. The motor industry is facing significant problems. Hardest hit of all is Mercedes-Benz, and this in turn has major implications for East London. Johan Evertse is the president of the Border Kai Chamber of Commerce and joins us after 4. This, of course, a part of South Africa that really doesn't need more economic difficulties. The scourge of illegal mining, now a problem in Mpumalanga, as you heard a moment ago with Mbali Dlamini. Zama's arrested and charged in Barberton. More on that when we talk to the gold mining company Pan African Resources. They've been battling this problem for a while. And a new commission has been set up to look into cases that should have been prosecuted after the TRC. More on that with Khumotso Modise in a moment. We've got all that and a whole lot more on 702 Drive, including breaking news, news from the roads in our regular traffic updates, and the latest from the markets. On the markets right now, the all shares made good gains today, up by around 1,030 points. Leading the drive into the black has been resources shares, up by nearly 2%, with gold shares shining especially brightly. Goldfields is up by 4.1, Pan African Resources, despite those difficulties, up by 3.7. Away from minerals, Richemont and Naspers are both up by 3.2%. The rand is trading at 18 rand and 1 cent against the dollar. A euro will cost you 20 rand 82. The rand is currently trading at 23 rand and 93 cents against the pound. The other good news of the day is a sharp fall in the price of Brent crude, down by $1.19, currently trading at $68.27 a barrel. Stephen Critters joins us with all the details at 4:25. We'll get the sport with Tolakele Mganga. Bali Dlamini has the latest news headlines, and Karabo Chale is keeping an eye on the roads. This is 702 Drive. We're live in the place where you live. And if it's happening in 702 land, you will hear about it here first. If there's something we've missed, of course, please get in touch. 072 702 1702 or 011 883 0702. It's 3:12.
702.
Let's walk the talk.
So, of course, the start of a new month, the start of a new week. And yeah, how's your Monday been? If it has been blue, I hope it was at least Alice blue. Now, what does Alice blue mean? Well, Alice blue, I understand, according to Google at least, is the very lightest shade of blue. So maybe we've got shades of blue Mondays. I won't tell you what the darkest is, but as I say, Alice blue, bearable, I guess. We have lots to talk about, lots to inquire about, and lots to think about. And when it comes to thoughts, often the most interesting thoughts are the most random. So I had this random thought a little while ago, in fact, just yesterday, and I was thinking to myself, what are those words and phrases that have lost their meaning? And I thought about it because there was somebody there I saw on TV, I can't even remember the context, but they were saying, awesome, unbelievable, epic, iconic, legend. And then they said to the other person, legend, And I thought, okay, I mean, fair enough. I remember once sitting with people at lunch and that somebody said, this lettuce is unbelievable. And I said, and it really was about the lettuce. No, they said it was amazing. That's right. And I said, if you've used amazing for the lettuce, what are you going to use for a 15-year-old bottle of Cabernet Sauvignon or absolutely fabulous steak? I mean, are steaks amazing? Anyway, it just made me think about language. And I was once, by the way, buying a new pair of glasses. This is a long time ago. And the optometrist who was there was, he kept taking out different frames to show me. He said, this is an unbelievable frame. And I thought, okay. Yeah, that's pretty nice. The next one he brought out, he said, now this is an unbelievable frame. So having used the word unbelievable, he was out of currency, so it had to be unbelievable and unbelievable. The emphasis had to kick in. But on a serious note, I mean, we can talk about this lightheartedly or we can joke about it. I do think language is important. Language does reflect the way in which we see certain kinds of reality. And I've got a whole lot of theories about that. I'll spare you those now. But give us a call on 011 883 0702 and 072 702 1702. Karabo Chale, words that for you have either changed in meaning or have maybe lost their meaning.
Well, I was listening to you talking, and while you were explaining yourself, I say this a lot. I was busy saying, yeah, John, fair enough. Fair enough.
Yes.
Every time when you make a point, I go, fair enough. And it annoys me so much, eh? And then the other one, when something bad or horrible happens, maybe if I drop drop and break a glass or a cup of coffee, I'll be like, nice. Or maybe somebody bumps into me in traffic, I'll be like, nice.
Yes.
And I remember when that happened, when somebody bumped into me in traffic, and I was like, nice. And my son was like, what's so nice about that?
Yes. Well, I'm with your son. I mean, what are you, a nice guy or something? You are a nice guy. Properly nice guy. So give us your words there. Amur Ramila is with us putting the show together today. Words that for you, the meaning has almost gone from the original.
I think it has to be please. A lot of us, especially us women, we use this word very often. Yeah. Ma'am, please. Please, can I have this discussion? It's not even to say I'm asking for this or I would like to.
Yes.
No. It's just the word please. Ma'am, please, can you move away? Oh, please. I don't know why, but I feel like it's lost the meaning. As well as, I like saying, my goodness. If I'm shocked, if a story shocks me, if it's unbelievable and that. Or sometimes my kids like using the words, you won't believe me.
Yes,
You
yes.
won't believe me. You won't believe me. This and that happened. Of course I'm going to believe you. I believe in your stories. But the way they sell the story, it's just like, you don't have to use the word,
Yes,
I won't
yes.
believe you.
Okay. Well, I mean, I believe you. And the nice one, though, I mean, so is that, just to quickly go back to it, is that your way of avoiding, is that your way of controlling your feelings? Because if you let your true feelings come out, you might use words that, A, you don't want to use, secondly, inappropriate with your boy around you.
100%,
I mean,
100%. That's
okay.
when I'm like frustrated or surprised, and other words could come, but nice is the one that just explains it all. Well, to my understanding, to others are like, what? Somebody died, and I go, nice. Or maybe I hear shocking news on the radio. I'll be like, nice.
Okay. Okay, you should read the news. Let's see what happens and how many calls we get from some of our listeners. But seriously, though, words that for you are overused, misused, have lost their meaning, give us a call on that on 011 883 0702. Shadow says, how are you doing today? I say to my sister when something bad happened, I say, womp, womp. Womp, womp.
Womp, womp.
Okay, well, I don't know how you could use womp, womp correctly. That's just taking us in a slightly different direction. Okay, now where's the rest of this? Womp, womp. And I've been saying it since last year. Have a good day, says TT. We will have a nice day. Thank you very much. It's 18 minutes past 3.
John Perlman
On 702.
3 to 6 p.m.
Okay, let's find out what's happening out on the traffic.
Well, womp womp. Unfortunately, John, there's an accident scene in Isando. Hopefully, it's not that serious at this stage. Traffic, the delays are not that bad. That accident scene is on the R24 westbound before Barbara Road, slowing down traffic all the way from the R21 merge. There's also slow-moving traffic in the Parktown area. That's heading towards Bramfontein on Empire Road, approaching the M1 due to roadworks. Otherwise, the rest of 702 land not looking too bad. Still early days. However, look out for those faulty traffic lights. That's in the Edenville area, Modderfontein Road and Van Riebeck. I also see if you're heading towards Protea Glen, there's already some delays on the N12 westbound. This is between the R554 Abu Bakr Drive and the R558. If you come across any other traffic issues, please SMS us on 31702. We are also on X at EWN Traffic.
Clement Maniatella,
Weekday mornings,
9 to 12.
9 to 12.
As a company, though, how do you plan on responding? Are we likely to see inevitable job losses? Do you think that this help that government says it will provide will assist you in some way to avoid, especially, the impact on job losses?
Until I see it in writing and I see what they're proposing, I will only be able to tell you then. As you know, we're already under pressure, government, financially. We don't have money in the budget, so I don't know where they're going to find the money. From our side, look, there won't be immediate job losses in our business. My biggest priority is to make sure that I do not lose any of my staff and that we don't lay off any staff. I'm more worried about my supply chain.
Sigfried Lokoch, Operations Director at Jengamak and Automotive Company in the Eastern Cape.
Clements Maniatella.
9 to 12 on 702.
At the heart of global conversations shaping the future, Africa's voice matters more than ever. As Africa's largest bank by assets and lead sponsor of the B20 Summit, Standard Bank Group is proud to spotlight the continent's growth, partnerships and potential on the world stage. Through informed dialogue and powerful partnerships, Standard Bank is driving sustainable growth where it matters most. Standard Bank is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider.
So Taryn, you've just graduated cum laude, but nothing says you're a genius quite like selling your car to WeBuyCars.
Absolutely. My car was an 18th birthday present and it's time to move on to something a bit more mature.
So where did you hear about WeBuyCars?
All of my friends are using WeBuyCars. I would have had legit FOMO if I hadn't used them. And it was so quick. I did it on my laptop while sending around my CV.
Smart move, Taryn. Graduated and upgraded. WeBuyCars. Geared for success, geared for you.
Did you ever work in the UK? If you did for at least 3 years and you're under 67, you can get a guaranteed UK state pension worth up to 5 million rand over a typical retirement for just a small payment directly to UK revenue. Most people get 40 rand back for every rand they pay in. There's a big queue at UK Revenue as this opportunity may end soon, so act fast. Call Extra Pension in Cape Town or see extrapension.com. Mind your UK pension and it'll mind you. Service fees apply.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
702 Drive, it's good to have you with us on the show. It's 22 minutes past 3. We've got a couple of you responding to the question we asked. I'll read a few of those a little bit later because I want to get into a very important story. The question I asked is words that have been misused so often that they no longer really have the meaning they used to have. So unbelievable could refer to a biscuit. I'm sure there was a time when the word for biscuit was probably nice or tasty or delicious. Are biscuits ever delicious? Anyway, you know what I'm asking you. Give me a call on 011 883 0702. Now, we're focusing quite a bit on the show today, and in fact, earlier, others, Clement has also been looking at the implications of the new tariff arrangements with the United States for all sectors of our business. This was a very important story that my colleague in Tsigelelo picked out on News 24. William Brederode, I'm not sure if I've pronounced that correctly, hope I have, has written about how one of the world's largest container logistics companies, Maersk, will no longer be shipping directly from South Africa to the east coast of the US. They will provide a service, but the service is what is called transshipment. In other words, the containers will go to a port in Europe somewhere. I would assume Rotterdam is a likely destination. And from there, they will eventually get to the United States. But what you get is an increase in cost. And crucially, particularly if you're dealing with certain perishables, you get a delay in time. So what are the implications of this, and indeed why is it happening? Terry Gale is chairperson of Exporters Western Cape, a crucial umbrella organization, particularly given how much fresh produce moves out of the Western Cape and heads for the US. And he joins us now. Mr. Gale, welcome, and thanks very much for giving us your time. This is a setback, clearly, but how severe? Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, John. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity. Yes, it certainly is a setback, but there's always a good and a bad in a situation as well. And although Maersk are pulling out from the trade, and the problem with transshipments, as you say, going via Rotterdam, it's adding to cost, it's adding to time, because what used to be a weekly service is now going to make, with a transit time of 16 to 18 days, is now going to become 30, 40 days. And if we use a lot of the hubs that are transshipment at the moment in the European Union actually are suffering their own congestion. But the other side of the coin is there is still a direct service. The other shipping line, which is MSC, I think we're talking names here, which is actually the world's largest carrier. Right. They are continuing on the trade, on the direct service. So it will still continue as it is at the moment, and it's almost a service improvement because they're putting new vessels on the berth, and it's going to get back to what it should be, which is a weekly service of a transit time 16 to 18 days. So the good thing is we have that alternative, and I keep on saying one of the big factors, not just the cost factor and the products, the superior products that we export into our fruit and everything like that as well, is the fact that it's a guaranteed weekly service. Right. So although Maersk are pulling out of that side of the trade, that it's actually going to, MSC are compensating by actually, because the service used to be a joint service between MSC and Maersk. Maersk are just pulling their ships, or they part of the agreement that is going to be effective from October, and officially MSC will continue on the berth as they have been doing for many years now as well. So it's going to be much better. Sorry, John?
Yeah. So, my only concern would be, and I get that there's an upside, but if the underlying reasons why Maersk made this decision remain in play, and now I don't know if that's uncertainty or they've actually made a call saying, look, this is not going to get any better, is there not a danger that MSC might go the same route?
I think at the moment, it's we're sitting in so much on a world of uncertainty, and the problem is nobody knows. Although the tariffs are coming to effect on Thursday, and the 30% is going to be implemented from them, nobody knows how the trade is actually going to be affected by it. Are people still going to be exporting? From our point of view, as you are very aware, our citrus market in America is fantastic. Our citrus exports to America, and they like our product, they like our wine, they like our citrus, they like what we're doing. We want to get blueberries into the American market as well. Now, whether they can actually absorb, the American importer can absorb the 30% or still has to wait to be seen. Aware that on the manufacturing side, there are companies that are saying they can't accept the 30% because one of our big competitors globally is Brazil. Also being the southern hemisphere, and Trump has not put 30%, although he promised he was going to. He hasn't put any 30% reciprocal tariff on products coming from Brazil.
Thank you so much, Terry Gale, Chairperson of Exporters Western Cape. Good to get your thoughts on that if you're involved in exporting anything at all to the United States and you've got a story to share and insight to give us some kind of sense of how this is affecting businesses on the ground. Planning, I would have thought, is extremely difficult to do when you're not quite sure what is going to happen next. 28 minutes past 3.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
John, one other word that we so apt to using is yes for everything. Yes. It means almost everything. It's an exclamation of some sort. Anyway.
Yeah, keep those coming on 011-883-0702, words that we overuse. Let's talk about this now. The Truth and Reconciliation Commission was something that happened a long time ago. The report was handed over to then President Thabo Mbeki. That tells you just how far in South Africa's past that process was. Nevertheless, coming out of that, certain criminal cases were meant to be pursued. If you didn't come to the TRC at all, there was the possibility you could be prosecuted. If you came but didn't disclose fully, that would again open the door to you ending up in court facing criminal charges. Very, very few of those matters that should have made it to court actually did. And now we have a commission that is looking into why that happened. Yet another commission. The details have just been announced. Let's find out what they are. Khumotso Modise, EWN reporter, joining us now on 702 Drive. Khumotso, I believe we now have a commissioner. We have some clarity about how they're going to be going about their business. How exactly are they going to go about this long, unfinished business?
Well, John, good afternoon. In May, President Cyril Ramaphosa announced already that commission of inquiry would be established, and it would look into why the TRC cases have not been prosecuted so many years later. There were about 300 cases that had to be pursued. It was handed over to the NPA, and basically, virtually very little was done. And so that commission of inquiry has started its work. It started on Friday, the 1st of August. Now, we know that a retired Justice Sisi Khabembe is the one who is leading that commission. She'll be the chair. But there's other issues around where the commission will be held, how it will run.
Right.
And one of those issues is the moving around, which I was really interested in. The headquarters of the commission will be at the Saibono offices in the Johannesburg CBD in Newtown. However, I've learned now from the commission's spokesperson that there's a very high chance that that commission will be moving around and will be going from province to province, all the provinces where the submissions come from. A call for submissions is going to be made in the next 10 to 14 days. And once those submissions have come from all the places around the country, I mean, these cases affected many provinces, all the provinces essentially, then the commission will then establish a way forward on where it will move first and how much time it will spend in those provinces.
So what is the nature of a submission? I mean, would it come from, for example, a family member who feels justice wasn't done? Or does it need to come from with a certain legal framing? Because if a matter was fully aired according to the terms of the original TRC and the person who came and confessed to what they did so without reservation, and applied, for amnesty in the correct ways. How are they going to sort out people who are aggrieved and people who are entitled to see the matter in court?
I think the Commission is limited to the cases that were actually referred for prosecution, which is about 300 plus.
Okay.
So it's the cases where the TRC decided that this should be investigated further and there's a potential for prosecution. It's not the cases where it was established that amnesty has been granted to the perpetrators and it should not be pursued further. So I think that's the first step. And then it will be established from the submissions. Many allegations have been made, and I think many of the submissions will have those allegations from the lack of political will, the understanding that investigation started and then just halted. People will put that on paper to say, my matter was meant to be heard here, this is how it was meant to be investigated, and it just didn't happen.
Well, it's something we'll follow with a great deal of interest. Another commission, some of you may have a view on that, whether commissions actually achieve anything. Others of you may well feel this is a matter better late than never, long overdue, and it needed to be tackled and resolved in whatever way possible. Give us a thought on that. 011-883-0702. Khomotso Modise, our EWN colleague, will be following that very, very closely in the weeks to come. 28 minutes now to 4 o'clock. Let's get the very latest eyewitness news. And Mbali Dlamini is standing by. Good afternoon.
Thanks, John. Good afternoon. The EFF in Gauteng has slammed the ANC for its alleged abuse of state resources. This after the party held its National Executive Committee meeting at the Germiston Civic Centre due to several issues, including inadequate heating and ventilation at the original venue in the south of Johannesburg. It's understood the ANC could not hold its NEC meeting at its usual spot at the Birchwood Hotel in Boksburg because of financial difficulties. This situation has upset some opposition parties who are questioning how the ANC was allowed to hold its event at a government building without incurring any costs. EFF Gauteng spokesperson Dumsani Baleni.
This brazen abuse of municipal infrastructure illustrates the ANC's tendency to blur the lines between the state and party and to treat public property as its private quotas. It is an insult to the people of Gauteng and Ekurhuleni in particular that the ANC, embroiled in bankruptcy, now exploits public facilities to conduct internal meetings, even at the expense of ordinary council operations.
He claims the EFF in Ekurhuleni was affected by the ANC's decision to hold its NEC meeting at the municipality facility.
As a result of this meeting, the EFF caucus in the city of Ekurhuleni was compelled to postpone its induction program because the ANC locked down the civic center, deployed state resources and police to create an exclusive zone to save the fast decaying former liberation movement from public embarrassment.
In the courts, a split in an alleged underworld crime organization called the Brotherhood came under the spotlight in the Western Cape High Court today. Alleged underworld gang boss Jerome Donkey Boyson and 11 others are in trial for the alleged murder of the man dubbed the steroid king Brian Weinstein in 2017. Legal teams have been arguing for the court to decide whether cell phone recordings can be used as evidence in the trial. Carlo Peterson has more.
A Hawks detective today highlighted 2 cell phone recordings extracted from a phone alleged to be Jerome Boyson's in 2016. The police captain, who cannot be named, says cell phone records show Boyson, his brother Colin Boyson, and the now deceased Mark Lithman and Andre Nordier were allegedly part of a criminal enterprise called the Brotherhood. The detective says an incident at Cocoa Bar nightclub caused a split in the group, resulting in Colin Boyson joining their rival, alleged underworld gang boss Nafis Modak. The captain told the court the cell phone recordings show Jerome was reluctant to intervene.
Once again, the confirmation that it is difficult for Jerome Boyson because his brother is involved in this conflict.
The trial within a trial continues. Carlo Peterson, Eyewitness News, Western Cape High Court.
KwaZulu-Natal's disaster management teams have been activated and placed on high alert for veld fires. The SA Weather Service is forecasting a high risk of veld fires over the next 2 days. Cooperative Governance spokesperson Senzelo Mzila says various municipalities are at risk of being affected.
Dry, warm and windy conditions with gusts exceeding 40 kilometers per hour and low humidity are creating ideal conditions for the rapid ignition and spread of wildfires.
And further afield, police are on a manhunt for a U.S. veteran accused of fatally shooting 4 people in Montana. Michael Paul Brown allegedly fled to the nearby foothills following the incident. 4 people died as Brown opened fire at a pub in the city of Anaconda on Friday morning. Authorities have now offered a reward of more than $7,000 for any information that will lead to his capture. Many businesses have been forced to shut down following that incident, and numerous public events have been cancelled due to the manhunt. It's a fine afternoon in Gauteng today. Temperatures have peaked at highs of between 22 and 23 degrees.
In Ekurhuleni, accident scene in Isando. This is on the R24 westbound before Barbara Road, causing delays from the R21 in Parktown. Traffic remains sluggish on Empire Road, approaching the M1 due to roadworks, and in Protea Lane, bumper-to-bumper traffic on the N12 westbound between the R554 Abu Bakr Drive and the R558.
The top story in EWN, the EFF in Gauteng has slammed the ANC for its alleged abuse of state resources.
Africa Milani.
Weekday mornings,
4 to 6.
I imagine the conditions have not changed since our last conversation. Once we see the rollout of the Arto administrative system, the demerit point system will come into play, correct?
Yes, that is correct, Africa, but the points demerit system is coming in at slightly later, the phased implementation of Arto, starting from this December, where we're having the 69 municipalities coming on board as well as Metro.
Modem Kalipi, a spokesperson for the Road Traffic Infringement Agency.
Africa Milani.
4 to 6 on 702.
You know the one, the steakhouse that never misses. The sizzle hits the table, the seasoning is spot on, and for a moment, everything else fades away. Whether it's your go-to for big celebrations or just a well-deserved Friday night treat, they've earned your loyalty with every bite. Now's your chance to say, I see you. Nominate your favorite spot for Gauteng's greatest steakhouse at primemediaplus.com, because Gauteng isn't just the hub of business, it's the home of excellence, and excellence deserves your applause. Gauteng's greatest awards with 702, powered by Yoko. Let Yoko counterfuel your business to greatness. Go to yoko.com to explore the new point of sale solution, saving hundreds of businesses time and money.
So we did a thing, a full commitment kind of thing. We've partnered with Sixt to bring worldwide to your doorstep. So you see how that's a serious thing, because that's what you deserve. We know you're the GOAT, so premium it is. Premium service, premium vehicles, premium you, premium us. Sani Sixt is all about adding extra to ordinary. Extra reach, extra countries, so you can be extra premium worldwide. Be the greatest of all time and rent Sani Sixt.
Your office is more than just a place to work. It's a reflection of your success. At Desk and Chair, we help you elevate your workspace with locally manufactured desks and a wide range of chairs to suit your style and budget. Our expert consultants are with you every step of the way, from planning to delivery and assembly. Visit our showroom in Midrand or shop online at deskandchair.co.za. Desk and Chair. Think, feel, work better.
Business Outsurance are experts in business insurance for butcheries, restaurants, beauty salons, and more. Here's Gert.
I definitely have peace of mind that Business Outsurance is protecting our business. I do think Business Outsurance are the best insurance company out there, and they gave us the best quotes.
Switch to Business Outsurance and you could get a massive 20% discount on your business insurance premium. Visit outsurance.co.za. Switch and save today. Licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online.
702. WhatsApp John on 072 702 1702.
Hi, John and the listeners and the team in studio. I don't know if mine is related to the phrases being used, but I hate it so much, and I get so annoyed when you ask someone how are you, and their response is gonna be I am easy. Like, what does that mean? I am easy. So yeah, that's what I find very annoying. Thank you so much. Bye.
Hi, John. The one that gets me is the word goat. It's so overused and used incorrectly. So you find someone from a soccer team that, scores a goal and the younger generations all go, oh, that's the GOAT. And I'm thinking that's not the GOAT. He is not the greatest of all time. He's, might be the greatest for this game. But the word GOAT is definitely overused.
Hi, John, and the listeners and the team in studio.
Okay, just lost that last one. We'll get it back. Not the greatest voice note of all time because we never got to hear it. We'll make sure we do get to play it. I absolutely understand the point, though, being made about GOAT there in that instance, because I'll tell you why. There's a general kind of shortening of timelines around excellence. So, for example, the greatest of all time, if you're talking boxing, is Muhammad Ali and Joe Louis, and there's a whole lot of other people who come into the conversation. In football, for example, you get this, I think, completely bizarre situation where sometimes, if you look at the English Premiership, they give statistics of club success based on that period of time when the top division in England was called the Premier League. But I mean, that isn't the full total of top of the table excellence in football. And on it goes. I could go on forever. I will not. But I get exactly what that voice note was about. That, this is the greatest thing ever, the greatest player ever. And maybe it's just a function of age, that the longer you live, you see greats and then you see people who are even greater. So, but please keep those coming, words that are misused, words that you that drive you a little bit crazy, or words you use yourself. Kia says, the word hectic. I didn't realize it until an American friend of mine, while imitating me, used the phrase hectic friend. I was like, stop, I don't use the word hectic, but I realized how many other South Africans actually use the word hectic. She says, I'm not based in South Africa anymore, so our idiosyncrasies stand out a lot more. Kathleen says, the most irritatingly overused word, completely out of context, is literally. People simply don't seem to understand its meaning. I mean, they literally don't. 7:02 drive at 17 minutes to 4.
EWN Sport.
Well, I think I can use the word extraordinary here, Tolokele. An extraordinary test match at the end of a remarkable test series. Have I exaggerated anything?
Literally, John, you're telling the truth. Well, John,
you can be so hectic sometimes. I mean, really.
Well, John, Mohammad Siraj took 5 for 104 as India beat England by 6 runs in the 5th test as the series finished level at 2-2. The home side lost 4 wickets for 28 runs on the final morning as they were bowled out for 367. India claimed their narrowest win margin in the test match, while Ben Stokes' side were left to ponder where it went wrong.
Cricket fans' point of view, you sort of go 2-2 is probably fair. Obviously, we're disappointed now to have not got the result that we wanted to give us a series win. So there's obviously that, disappointment, a little bit of frustration there as well from everyone. But yeah, I'm a massive advocate of this format and Test cricket as a whole. This has certainly been one of those series that can hopefully keep that narrative around Test cricket as dying. And disappointed from obviously a playing point of view, but as an advocate of the game, the series has been fantastic to be part of.
The two-legged MTN8 semi-finals will see Skokune United up against Stellenbosch, while Orlando Pirates take on Mamelodi Sundowns. The Brazilians could be without Lucas Ribeiro Costa, Khuliso Mudau and Peter Shalulilo for those games, with the trio linked with moves away. Miguel Cardoso also left them out of his squad for yesterday's quarter-final win over Richards Bay.
It's obvious that we would like to have been able to start the season from where we left, with all the players as strong as possible, but no one should think that Mamelodi Sundowns will ever be not at the level that has to be, and for sure people in charge will take the responsibility to organize the things and solve the issues in proper time.
Dan Sheehan has been banned for 4 matches for a reckless clear-out in the British and Irish Lions' final test defeat by Australia. He was cited post-game for a first-half clear-out that appeared to make contact with the head of Tom Liner, who later left the field after failing a head injury assessment. Sheehan's ban could be reduced to 3 if he completes World Rugby's coaching intervention. And Peter Coetzee finished his World Aquatics Championship campaign with 3 medals, having won silver in the men's 50-metre and 200-metre backstroke final, while he claimed gold in the 100 meters. Kaylene Kobe also finished on the podium, having claimed bronze in the 200-meter breaststroke final. Tolagile Mganga, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
14 minutes now to 4 o'clock. Let's get the very latest traffic news. Accident in the Alberton area somewhere. Let's get the details with Karabo Chale.
Well, that's heading towards Alberton. The accident scene is in Stilldale, Ellis Park, or rather Elands Park area. That accident scene is on Heidelberg Road. This is before South Rand Road, causing heavy delays all the way from the N17. Isando, there's also an accident scene, R24 westbound before Barbara Road. This is causing some delays heading, this is from the R21 in Parktown, heading towards Braamfontein. Traffic sluggish on Empire Road, approaching the M1 due to an earlier accident. Also, Proteas Lane, we still have bumper-to-bumper traffic on the N12 westbound. This is between the R554 Abu Bakr Drive and the R558. If you come across any other traffic issues, please SMS us on 31702. We are also on X at EWN Traffic.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
So something I need to tell you is that we're live on YouTube. So I should probably be giving you a wave of some kind. But yeah, there you can look. If you look now, you'll see everybody in the studio. And we'd love to have you there watching us while we put together the show. We've had this on some of the other 702 shows before. I think Rilebogile and Clement kicked it off. But the way you find us is 702 Drive with John Perlman. Type in the word live. Otherwise, you might get some older stuff that is really in the form of podcasts. So, yeah, hands waving as I speak. But yes, it's great to have you there. And of course, there's an opportunity for you to make some comments alongside as well. A little bit new for us. If I'd known this was going to happen today, I would have worn a tuxedo, but unfortunately, mine's at the dry cleaners after a big night out earlier. No, in all seriousness, this is how we look, this is who we are, and you are welcome to watch us while you listen to us as well. Tolakele, we were just talking about words that get overused, misused. We had someone, this might ring a bell for you in sport. You know, as soon as anyone does anything vaguely excellent, we call them the GOAT. I had a thought on that. But words that, yeah, have perhaps lost their meaning because we either use them in the wrong way or we've just drained them of any impact they might have.
Decenter. Yes.
Decenter, what's that?
It's when someone wants you to rethink or reimagine how you place importance on certain things. You need to decenter work as the most important thing. You need to decenter marriage as an achievement. It's okay. We can use another word. But also, we don't have to decenter everything. Otherwise, we won't be existing. So that's a word that, if I could, I would leave behind in 2025.
Okay. Decenter. Boy, yes. I mean, I had left it behind, but now you've planted a bit. It's a bit like an earworm, you know. I might start using it, but not today. I'll wait for you to leave.
John, you can use it for one more day and then we're done.
Okay. I'll have to think of a sentence as some way of figuring out how to use it. Give us a call on that on 011-883-0702. Junaid's got a very interesting one here. I'm going to tweak it slightly, but let me give you what Junaid says first. He says, the word remember is overused by politicians. They themselves don't know what they mean. Is it something that we were supposed to remember from the past? Or is it a new statement that they want us to remember for the future? It is now overused by the general public, thanks to them. So, Junaid, I agree with you on the sentiment. My recollection of it, though, and now we're getting into remember here, is they will always say what you're saying, but they use the phrase, you will recall. And the way I hear that is their way of saying, well, you really ought to know that. I find it a little bit patronizing in certain usages. But yes, overused deluxe. You will recall. Yeah. Junaid, thank you. I will now remember every time I hear somebody say, you will recall that Junaid gave us a little prod on that. Keep those coming on 072 702 1702. It's 9 minutes now to 4 o'clock.
John Perlman
on 702.
3 to 6 p.m.
Now, this story that we're about to discuss came up more than once. Last night I was watching Carte Blanche, and Masek Kekana did a very, very powerful story about a court case that is looking into I think the charge is murder of a young man who was at a rehab center down in KZN. I'll get the name of the rehab center in a moment. I've just lost the note that I wrote about that. Today, Peter Ramotwala in the Sowetan has written about a drug rehabilitation center in the area of Bolobedu in Limpopo. And again, and a mother absolutely struggling with a son who was addicted to drugs. And now the issue there is that the son has disappeared from an unregistered drug rehab center. What this prompted me to ask, and I'll introduce a guest who can answer this in a moment, is what exactly are the rules that apply? Can anyone just open a center and say, this is where we'll help to deal with your sons and daughters, cousins, whoever they might be, that are dealing with addiction? Dwayne Bernard is operational manager at the Design for Living Foundation. They work very carefully with addicts and are involved in placing them in the right situations. Dwayne Bernard, welcome, and thanks very much for giving us your time. Can anyone start a rehab center, or are the rules quite strict? Good afternoon.
Hi, afternoon, John. Afternoon to your listeners. John, there are definitely strict rules around just starting a center. A lot of these centers that just pop up and open is out of sheer desperation with parents due to the lack of social development able to handle the load of addicts that need beds to get into. I think the waiting list is on about 32,000 or something like that right now. And social development has a little bit less than 200 registered beds in Joburg. So that just tells you the dynamic and what allows these guys to just open. They want to help, I suppose, in most cases. A lot of them obviously don't have the right information on addiction or how to treat addiction and that type of thing. But they're opening and popping up more and more and more because of the desperate stance that we're in right now. Because of drugs and drug addiction.
Yeah. So it seems almost to me, Mr. Bernard, what you're saying is that people are looking for somewhere where they can take this family member because possibly the house is small, possibly their behavior has become antisocial and possibly even dangerous and violent. And it's a desperation saying, listen, I cannot deal with John anymore. And people say, well, there's a place that will take him. And rehab is actually not even on the cards at that point. It's I don't want to call it incarceration, but it's almost like a form of detention.
Yes, 100%. A lot of these places operate like that. We've heard stories of guys who get chained up for 2 months, and they get bedpans next to them, and they get beaten. And like I was saying, John, a lot of this is caused because the people running these centers that are doing this just have no idea on what they're doing. They have no idea on the roots of the addiction and that type of thing.
Yes.
How to manage it and how to deal with this person that is an addict. And we could have a lot more centers opened legally if social development's red tape wasn't so much.
That's interesting.
If their demands weren't so. The main thing is the rezoning of property. So that's the major one with a lot of facilities that do good work and they want to do good work. They get stuck with the rezoning because that's one of the requirements. And that's what holds a lot of them back from registering with social development, because we do have a lot of good rehabs doing a lot of good work that have been struggling for a year, 2 years. I've got some guys for 3-4 years struggling to get their place registered through the department just because of the one thing, which is rezoning, a simple thing.
Yeah. So, Mr. Bernard, it's really interesting. I mean, in a few short minutes, you've really changed my perspective substantially, because on the one hand, you're saying that many of the people who create almost could call them addict shelters are actually doing it with very good intentions and meeting a need, despite the fact that there are some places where abuse is recognized and should be dealt with. And then on the other hand, I said, is regulation strict enough? In a way, you're saying it's too strict, it's too bureaucratic. If you could fix one thing in that regard, Mr. Bernard, where would you start?
John, it would be just removing that thing of the rezoning.
Right.
You then have a lot more people or facilities or institutions able to open up the rehabs. And then obviously they need to get in the rest of the stuff, which is your social workers, your nurses, your programs, what type of program you're going to run. A lot of the people in social development don't even themselves understand this addiction thing. So the awareness needs to be raised within the department so that they know how to deal with this this issue, which is a pandemic now. I mean, we're sitting with a huge problem. So just awareness, John, awareness to the guys that are running these shady facilities. It's awareness to them because, like I say, the intention is probably good. They just don't know how to go about it.
Yeah.
So it's just awareness.
Thank you,
to remove that stigma.
Well, speaking of awareness, thank you for increasing mine, and I'm sure the listeners as well. Dwayne Bernard is the operational manager at the Design for Living Foundation. I would imagine that there are a good number of people listening to the show, part of the 702 family, who have walked this road and had to deal with this. I mean, if you have got someone in your life who has an addiction problem and you've battled to find somewhere where you can give them A, some kind of sanctuary, but B, maybe give you and your family some kind of respite, because the levels of desperation are not, I would imagine, just with the addict, but also with the addicted person, but also with the people who love this person but are in a position where love has been absolutely driven out of the door by desperation. So give us a call on that if you've got some insights. Maybe you're someone trying to offer support, trying to offer a facility. If you'd like to comment on what Dwayne Bernard had to say about the red tape and the bureaucracy. The rezoning angle on it, I don't know enough about it and how it works. But again, if you can shed some light, 072 702 1702. 2 minutes now to 4 o'clock.
Bongani Bingwa, 702 Breakfast.
Weekday mornings, 6 to 9.
When you offend, you will lose points, and that may eventually lead you to losing your right to drive through this process of demerits.
I think you need to look at what is your intention. And if your intention is to create better drivers, get more people on the road, get our roads fixed, maybe go and teach our kids in school how to drive properly and just be law-abiding. And maybe we will fix this.
And don't be corrupt. Advocate Stephanie Fick.
Bongani Bingwa, 6 to 9.
On 702.
Corporates That Care promotes and encourages corporate leaders and all citizens to walk the talk for a better South Africa. Catch Corporates That Care this Wednesday at 10 to 9, featuring Transnet. Their CEO, Advocate Michelle Phillips, will be in conversation with Bongani Bingwa. Join us every Wednesday as we highlight the efforts of companies and brands dedicated to building our country. Corporates That Care is a Prime Media Cares initiative with 702 and Prime Media Outdoor. 702, let's walk the talk and make a difference together.
In a world where everything is instant, some things are worth slowing down for. You took the time to build a life of distinction. Every moment, every milestone, every decision. At Indwe, we take the time to understand your world and craft insurance solutions to protect it. Because true peace of mind is the greatest luxury of all. The right insurance starts with a conversation. It starts with helloindwe.co.za. Indwe Risk Services is an authorized financial services provider.
The Johannesburg Philharmonic Orchestra's early spring season features a stellar lineup of international and local talent. Enjoy favorites by Mozart, Beethoven, and Tchaikovsky. Concerts run at the Linda Auditorium on Thursday evenings from 7 to 28 August. Book at Quicket. Visit jpo.co.za for more info.
This is EWN.
Some illegal miners granted bail after resurfacing from Sheba Gold Mine and bullying learners suspended from a school in the Eastern Cape. Good afternoon, I'm Bali Dlamini. 7 of the nearly 500 illegal miners arrested at the Sheba gold mine in Barberton, Mpumalanga, have been granted bail of 2,000 rand each. The mass arrests took place on Friday during the police's Operation Vala Umgodi. The group made their first appearance in the Barberton Magistrates Court today, facing charges including trespassing, possession of gold-bearing equipment and contravening the Immigration Act. Their appearance came just hours after 24 more illegal miners were arrested after resurfacing from the same shaft today. Mongezi Koko reports.
Proceedings were marred by logistical challenges as the court struggled to find a room large enough to hold all the accused. The miners were divided into smaller groups, packed into the dock benches and even along the courtroom walls. All of the accused had to indicate whether they would be using legal aid. However, this may not be possible for some who have been flagged as undocumented migrants. The first group of 41 to appear requested bail, with only 7 successful at 2,000 rand each. One hurdle is that a single lawyer may only represent a limited number of accused, adding to delays in verifying addresses. Mongezi Koko, Eyewitness News.
5 learners who appeared in a viral video showing them attacking one of their peers have been suspended from David Mama Senior Secondary School in Mdantsane in the Eastern Cape. The footage sent shockwaves across the country at the weekend. In it, the trio can be seen bullying a female learner and hitting her on the head. The incident occurred inside a scholar transport bus on Friday after school. The Provincial Transport Department has additionally suspended the bus driver for not stepping in as a disciplinarian during the ordeal. Transport Department spokesperson Unati Bingose says they will be working closely with the Education Department.
Eastern Cape Transport MEC Kolengata has described the lack of intervention by the driver as equally appalling as the acts of violence and humiliation meted out against the young lady. He has extended his word of support to the young lady and her family and has plans to work very closely with the sister department education and any other authorities.
DA Justice spokesperson Glenys Breitenbach says KZN Police Commissioner Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi should have approached Parliament instead of addressing a press conference dressed in police combat gear. Breitenbach says Mkhwanazi had other avenues to address his grievances regarding police corruption as well as allegations of interference. Breitenbach, who also sits in Parliament's ad hoc committee, which will be probing Mkhwanazi's allegations, was speaking on the DA's podcast. Babalondenze has more.
Glenys Breitenbach will be one of 18 MPs who will form part of the ad hoc committee that will investigate several allegations of corruption made by Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi at a press conference 4 weeks ago. While Breitenbach wants Parliament to get to the bottom of Mkhwanazi's claims, she does not agree with how he chose to address the allegations.
When it comes to the Portfolio Committee on Police, once a month, why didn't you tell them about it? So that was the appropriate space to raise it.
She says the combat gear Mkhwanazi was donning was also inappropriate.
To come to a press conference in full combat gear, with people in full combat gear with automatic weapons and wearing masks, I mean, that just, looks like a coup loading.
The ad hoc committee will meet for the first time tomorrow, where Breitenbach and other members will elect a chairperson and start the investigation process. Babalondenze, Eyewitness News.
To this now, the Judicial Commission of Inquiry into the Truth and Reconciliation cases is expected to have hearings around the country. The commission, which President Cyril Ramaphosa established in May, started its work last week. Retired Constitutional Court Judge Sisi Gampepe will be chairing the proceedings alongside retired Northern Cape Judge President Frans Homo and Advocate Andrea Gabriel. Homo Tumodise has the details.
The Judicial Commission of Inquiry will investigate allegations regarding efforts or attempts to stop the investigation or prosecution of Truth and Reconciliation Commission cases. The Commission has announced that its headquarters will be at the Saibono complex in Newtown, Johannesburg. Spokesperson Lionel Ardendorf.
We will also be guided by the submissions that we would obviously receive from the public. And we will issue that invitation for submissions once, obviously, the roadmap has been approved. It is only based on those two that I've already mentioned that we would then be able to see whether we would be going to other provinces or how many days we would spend in those provinces.
Ardendorf says the Commission officially started its work on Friday, but the call for submissions to the public will only be made in the next 10 to 14 days. Khomzo Modise, Eyewitness News.
And Lebanese President Joseph Aoun has vowed justice and accountability 5 years after a catastrophic explosion at a Beirut port. Nobody has been held accountable for the 2020 blast, which was one of the world's largest non-nuclear explosions, killing more than 220 people and injuring over 6,500. Authorities have said the explosion was triggered by a fire in a warehouse where tons of ammonium nitrate fertilizer had been stored haphazardly for years after arriving by ship, despite repeated warnings to senior officials. Gold is trading at $3,367.98 an ounce. The rand is at 18.02 to the dollar, 23.94 to the pound, 20.83 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $69.67 a barrel.
In Stilldale, there's that accident scene heading towards Alberton on Heidelberg Road before South Rand Road, causing delays all the way from the N17. Parktown traffic sluggish on Empire Road. This is approaching the M1 due to roadworks, and in Kempton Park heading towards Tembisa. Bumper-to-bumper traffic on the R21 northbound between Atlas Road and the R23 Benoni off-ramp.
In your sport, Mohammad Siraj stars as India beat England by 6 runs in the 5th test. Miguel Cardoso confirms imminent exit of Mamelodi Sundowns trio. And Dan Sheehan handed 4-match suspension by World Rugby.
A fine Tuesday in store for Gauteng tomorrow. Johannesburg dropping to overnight lows of 6 degrees, peaking at 21. Pretoria 6 and 23, and Vereeniging 2 and 22 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour: 7 of the nearly 500 illegal miners arrested at the Sheba Gold Mine in Barberton, Mpumalanga, have been granted bail.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
702.
Drive home with John Perlman.
John Perlman, 3 to 6 p.m.
On 92.7 and 106 FM. Let's walk the talk.
702 Drive, it's 8 minutes past 4. Good to have you with us on the show. Coming up in the next half an hour or so on those arrests at the Sheba Gold Mine down in Barberton in Mpumalanga. We'll be chatting to Hethan Hira, who is head of communications at the company Pan African Resources. They're very much caught up in the center of this particular trouble, scourge. What do we call it? It's been going on for so long. It's one of those things you almost are in danger of saying, well, that's part of the South African landscape. When that happens, trust me, that is never, ever a good thing. We got used to load shedding in that way, and we're grateful for any little reprieve instead of saying, actually, what does a proper electricity system look like? Anyway, with that caution, Hethan Hira with us at about 20 minutes past 4. Tariffs, high tariffs on goods going to the United States. Are we going to get used to that as well, or are we going to shift and adjust? One of the companies hit hardest by those tariffs in the automobile space is Mercedes-Benz. That's because of the volume of, I think it's C-Class left-hand drive vehicles, obviously, that go across to the US. The implications for a part of South Africa that has battled for economic growth for many, many years now are severe. Johan Evenser is president of the Borderkai Business Chamber. We'll look at the larger implications for East London, Buffalo City, when he joins us in 4 or 5 minutes' time. We've been asking you some questions, amongst them, what are those words that have now lost their meaning because we just use them completely wrongly, or maybe they've just begun to irritate you? On our 702 Facebook page, by the way, if you don't go there regularly, you must. There's some great loading up of podcasts and interesting articles there. These are a few of the words that people don't like. Clayton, I love you at the end of every phone call. It sounds mechanical. Malet Tlogonolo has this list. Like, wild. I'm sure, literally, we've had that more than once. Sibongi Seni focuses on politics and politicians and is tired of these ones. New Dawn, renewal, reset, revolutionary, consequence management. I still, after all its years, do not know. Years of use, still do not know what that actually means. Reconstruction, rollout, underway, ongoing, and reform. Cyfran also doesn't like I love you, so that's coming up. And Pinda also doesn't like I love you. We've got a lot of people, Valentine and Bongani included, and Gabisile also add to the word literally, and Ridwan. Epic, awesome, amazing, ridiculous. These are now normal words whose gravity has been lost. Ridwan, thank you, because that's exactly where we started. Mankero says the use of the phrase our people when it is used by politicians. It's 11 minutes past 4.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Jimirang for John and team. The other word, especially in the US, as pointed out by Ismo Leikola, I think, the comedian, is sir. Sir has got a different meaning in the US. In fact, when you're in trouble, they call you sir. Great show. Take care. Sim.
Dumelang Ntate John Pashle here. The words I use is I could either maybe be saying something mean, nasty, or wanting to curse. I go vegetable, or this vegetable, that vegetable. Yeah, and the meaning for me is many things.
Hey, Mr. John. So the word that is personal I overuse is ash. Everything is ash, whether it's a nice thing or it's a bad thing or it's nothing. It's just ash. Ash.
A very good afternoon to you, John. You know, John, there's something that you bring to that studio. Every time when you are like off sick or on leave, the studio becomes a little bit somber. You're like your Cholageles, they're like, like at work. Like they work. Like even the way she reads her sports, it's like, she's at work. But when you're there, you bring some kind of like aura that just lets them loose, eh? Like literally. I mean, I know it's hectic, but it is what it is. You bring such aura, even when you're not at work. We also feel it, especially me. I feel it. John, you better hang around 702 for a little bit longer, please, my brother. Thank you, Ntate John. It's Khalaboy here from Midrand. Hola.
Yeah, I mean, what can I say except that made my day. Thank you. What a wonderful, wonderful message. By the way, one of the things I do want to tell you is you can go and watch us on air now. You may have been doing that already with Clement and Rilebochile. You might have started doing it a little bit earlier in the process with the conversations that unfold on Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa. Now 702 Drive is also on YouTube. What you do is go to YouTube. This is the way I got there. Someone had to tell me how to get there. John Perlman 702 Live Afternoon. You just put that into the YouTube search. And there we are. And thank you. It's lovely. Getting some nice messages. Zweli says, long overdue. You look young as always. Zweli, I bet you say that to all the 702 presenters. Of course, for some of them, it is perhaps a little bit more true. But thank you. I appreciate that. Indeed. Lots of compliments for Tolakele, including from Nandi, who says, finally seeing Tolakele. She is gorgeous. Khonse uses that platform to join in all of our other conversations, which of course you can do, and says the most overused word is comrade. Tell me how you know politicians without knowing politicians as well. Also very glad to see Tolakele. So good. Thank you. Watch us as you listen to us on 702 Drive with John Perlman /live radio 702. We're on YouTube. It's quite fun. It's 4:15.
EWN Traffic.
Right, let's get the very latest from out on the roads. Hopefully not too bad on a Monday, but Steeldale getting tricky out in the south. Karabo Chale has all the details.
Sure, that's heading towards Alberton, Stilldale accident scene. This is on Heidelberg Road. Heidelberg Road before South Rand Road, causing heavy delays all the way from the N17. Parktown traffic remains sluggish on Empire Road. This is approaching the M1 due to ongoing roadworks. Also in the Joburg CBD heading towards Poisons, there's slow-moving traffic. M1 southbound between Killarney Bends and the Crown Interchange. In Ekurhuleni, expect some delays. In Edenville, that's heading towards Bedford View. R24 westbound between Edenville Road and the Gilulis Interchange. Kempton Park also expect some delays heading towards Tembisa. R21 northbound between Atlas Road and the R23 Benoni off-ramp. And in Protea Glen, Soweto, we still have bumper-to-bumper traffic on the N12 westbound between the R554 Abu Bakr Drive and the R558. If you come across any other traffic issues, please SMS us on 31702. We are also on X at EWN Traffic.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
702 Drive. So we are living in a new tariff world. This is not great, of course, but the United States imposing a 30% tariff on South Africa. There was, in the first half of the year, 25% tariff on all vehicles imported into the US. And that was already having a massive impact on South Africa. But there are deep, deep fears in one particular part of the country. Of course, I'm not minimizing the effect on Gqeberha and Rosslyn and, of course, the massive auto component park created right here in Gauteng. But the biggest hit so far in terms of vehicles have been the C-Class Mercedes-Benz left-hand drive, obviously, that were being put together at the East Factory in East London. And in regard to a city and indeed a region that hasn't had the best of times economically, the implications of this are quite grave. So how is it being understood, and crucially, what plans are taking shape? Johan Evense is president of the Border Kai Business Chamber and joins us now. Mr. Evense, thank you for giving us your time in these very challenging times for you and your colleagues. What's the news coming out of Mercedes-Benz? I mean, they obviously have been weighing up how they're going to deal with this. They suspended production for several weeks, as I understand it. In June, they announced a plan to shed 700 jobs. What's the latest from the company? Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, John, and thanks to be on your program. John, I obviously can't speak on behalf of Mercedes-Benz South Africa. I represent the broader business community in Islam. But I can reflect on how business views the announcement. And I think, John, I would really like to caution against widespread panic. To an extent, the industry has been through challenges in the past.
Right.
And so MBSA they have come a long way to be a very reliable global supplier of quality products. And I'm sure, and I put my full confidence in the leadership, that they will find ways how to address the challenge that it will have on the plant and the production in the plant, and also the community here, because it is the major employer in this region. So that's the first point I want to make. We must have confidence in the leadership that they will find solutions. You will recall way back in 1984 when we had the fuel crisis, then CDA, they found ways how to keep the plant going. The second point that I would like to make is that also we must have confidence in the politicians in our government with ongoing negotiations with the Americans to find solutions to this challenge. And lastly, this is perhaps an opportunity for the border Kai region and the industry in general to diversify and not a total reliance or a heavy reliance on the automotive industry. And that's the point I want to make, John, is that I would caution against widespread panic.
Okay. So let me, though, get a sense from you, Mr. Evans, your caution notwithstanding. What are the down and upstream businesses that have grown up around Mercedes-Benz in East London. I don't know if there's a substantial components sector, for example, but presumably there are people involved in vehicle transport. There might be implications for ports and others. Give us a sense of just how much MBSA matters to you.
It matters a great deal, John, because the company has established itself in this region for many years. So there are the supply chain companies that will obviously be impacted if the ports, all of those will be impacted. But we also talk, and this is really where we are engaging the downstream companies, the suppliers, those companies who may be in the hospitality industry and all other industries that might be impacted by this. But as I said, John, when Mercedes-Benz became a global supplier with the export of the C-Class way back, many international suppliers settled down in this region, and they not only supplied Mercedes-Benz, but they exported too.
Okay.
So many of them will probably continue producing unless Mercedes-Benz find a solution to the current challenge. They will continue maybe exporting to overseas countries. So I come back to the point, John. Let's give the structures a chance to find solutions. And whenever I speak to people, I said, let us not panic. Let's put our trust in and I know the leadership of Mercedes-Benz South Africa, they're working hard on finding solutions.
Thank you so much, Johan Evenser, President of the Borderkai Business Chamber. If you live down in that part of the Eastern Cape, maybe you've got family members or ties of a different kind to that part of our country, give us your thoughts. Call us on 011 883 0702 and 072 702 1702. It's 22 minutes now past 4.
Drive home with John Perlman
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
Well, let's head now to Barberton, where a challenge of a very, very different kind. It seems as many as 500 people, illegal miners, or people charged with being illegal miners, but I would think the key charge they face, if precedent is anything to go by, is being illegally in the country. But 500 people identified as being zama-zamas have been appearing in various sessions in the court. I think the number is actually over 500. The company affected has been having, like many other gold miners, a really good run in terms of share price, but also in terms of sales and productivity. Pan-African Resources are the owners of the Sheba mine, where all of this is playing out. And we're joined now by Hethan Hira, who's head of communications at Pan-African. Mr. Hira, welcome, and thanks very much for giving us your time today. When did your mine in the Barberton area start getting affected and attacked by illegal miners? How long has this been going on? Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, John, and thank you so much for giving me the time to say our side of the story and to articulate what's been going on. John, this situation has been going on for a very long time, over a long period of time, because of the nature of the ore body. You know, there's the gold ore bodies in the area, the mining legacy. Mining has been going on for over 100 years in this area, and there's a lot of old adits and shafts that are unprotected and allows people to go through the old sites, as they call them.
Right.
And we've been having these issues for a number of years, and since September last year, for example, we've arrested 4,000 people. On a weekly basis, the total has been 4,000, but on a weekly basis, we arrest illegal miners, and the local police just cannot cope in terms of processing, and the same people come back. And then it's caused, underground camps to form, and it's really being, anti-productive for the mines, affected the profitability in these times of high gold prices. We've had to retrench people because what the geologists are saying is mineable, and what comes out has been totally, doesn't tie up. So, and that causes, sustainability issues.
Yes.
Because the mine, as the mine grows and profits improve, we employ more people. We do community initiatives, build schools and clinics and halls and community halls and things, and just wasn't adding up. So, as part of the national intervention with the national police, SA Police, and the Vala and Godi initiative, there was a week-long sort of intervention, and that's what led to the uncovering of these camps and illegal miners.
So,
security task team that's there that protects our workers going down, and it costs a hell of a lot.
Yes.
And this initiative has really now uncovered, this illegal mining syndicate that we found.
So, Mr. Hira, two-part question, and relating to the last thing you said. What are the people who have been arrested being charged with? Is it by and large immigration-related offences? And secondly, I mean, as you have tried to protect your asset and the jobs that the asset creates through your company, are you getting any closer to who runs these syndicates, or is it largely still a battle being fought against foot soldiers?
Yeah, the first question is, people are in the country illegally, so that's one of the charges. And then some of them with gold-bearing material, as we call it, that has been found on them. So that's the two charges. But getting to, where the gold is going, that's been a mystery for us.
Yes.
So it's the middlemen. That's a challenge. I think all miners are facing that question: where is this going, and why? The country is losing billions in terms of revenue and taxes and things. So, that's an ongoing investigation. I think beyond the mine's control, and goes up to a higher sort of level that needs to be investigated.
Thank you so much. Hethan Hira is Head of Communications at Pan African Resources. Just to repeat, one of the last things he said was that with record gold prices, massive demand for gold, and the opportunity to actually build a mining operation outwards and do more good in a community, hire more people and so on, they've actually had to retrench people because of how much gold is being stolen by illegal miners. It is utterly alarming, and it doesn't seem to me, but I hope I'm wrong, that these operations like Valamgodi are getting beyond arresting large numbers of people, sometimes prosecuting them for having gold mining equipment, and clearly there's an indication of intent to steal in that discovery. But by and large, people are being turfed out on grounds of being illegal immigrants, from whence I would think they swiftly return. Anyway, a story to follow, and we will. 702 Drive, 28 minutes past 4.
EWN Business.
Stephen Critters, a very good afternoon to you. Start of a new week. Any good signs that it could be a good week, or do we just do day by day as we should?
You want me to be honest, right, John? Good afternoon.
Always.
Well, if buy gold, if you haven't already, I suppose would be, from what you were saying, would be the advice if you want to have a good week. Essentially what happened is that the gold price is looking very high again at the moment, heading back towards $3,400 an ounce. I think one of the reasons for that is that we saw a big sell-off on American markets on Friday. That was because of softer than expected payrolls data. In other words, fewer jobs were being created than were previously expected. The response from President Trump was to fire the person who actually does the statistics, because, statisticians, as you know, are naughty, evil, bad people, and says he'll hire his own. So the problem now, of course, is that people are now not sure if they'll be able to trust U.S. federal data going forward, because everybody will have watched this happen. And I think that might be one of the reasons why gold is slightly higher and the dollar is slightly weaker today than it was, say, this time on Friday. The JSE All Share up 1% at 98,764 points. Financials down 0.4%. Industrials up 0.96%. And resources up 3.62%, which really illustrates what's happening with gold. So Gold Fields are up 8%. DRD Gold, Harmony, Anglo Gold, Sibanye, the usual suspects, they're all up very strongly. Richmond had a very bad day on Friday after the announcement of the tariffs by the Trump administration. They're up by 2.99%. And I suspect, and so's Naspers, by the way, and people are sort of coming to terms with and trying to just examine what the tariffs will actually mean. The packing company, their paper and packaging company, Impact Reporting, while it was able to record growth in container board, to record good growth in container board, and to sell lots of citrus cartons and jumbo bins, it battled with beverage crates and carton board. The company saying its revenue was up 3% to 6.4 billion rand. Its net asset value per share was up by 5%. That's the 6 months to the end of June. And shares in the East European real estate company MAZ up by 2.25% this afternoon. Prime Capital launching its voluntary offer to buy the shares it doesn't own. It's offering €1.40 a share. Prime Capital says it has 230 million euros in secured funding. Hyprop had previously launched its own bid for the company. It withdrew it after saying there was a lack of transparency about the real relationship between Prime Capital and MAZ. Bidvest down nearly 3%, Sappi down 2.87%, and Pick n Pay down by around 2.5% on the day. And then some of the financial shares. So this is all really, I think, about interest rates. The US are now expecting an interest rate cut, but because they didn't cut last week, but we did, that affects the currency, as you know. And so Sanlam are down 1.8%, Investec down 1.8%, Standard Bank 1.74%, and ShopRite also down 1.69% at the moment. In the US, there was a massive sort of plummeting after what happened on Friday. Now people are expecting that there will be an interest rate cut, and as a result of that, we're starting to see those shares bounce back. The Dow Jones is up 0.91%. The Nasdaq is up nearly 1.5%. The S&P 500 is up a full percent at the moment. The gold price, $3,381.12 an ounce. Platinum, $1,344.28. Brent crude, $68.13. That might be weaker just because of tariffs as well. The rand to the dollar, 17.95, so back under that 18 mark. To the euro, 20.77. To the British pound, 23.89. Stephen Crutus, EWN Business.
Just quickly, before we get to the news, Stephen, we're now streaming on YouTube, and you have your first bit of fan mail from Lesego, Stephen Crutus, and there's a heart. I can't call it an emoji because I've never seen one so big. It's a mega emoji or something. Anyway.
Lesego, nice to meet you.
You have been well met. Stephen Crutus back with business at about 25 minutes past 5. Let's give you the very latest eyewitness news now. Little wrangle around the Metro Police, I understand. Traffic fine targets. Well, the Metro has responded through the JMPD, and Mbali Dlamini has the latest on that.
Thanks, John. Good afternoon. The Johannesburg Metro Police Department has denied claims that it has set a 7,000 Rand daily traffic fine issuing target for its officers. It says while its officers are mandated to issue fines, there is no target number per officer. The clarity follows allegations by the DA in the city. In a statement, the DA's community safety spokesperson, Michael Sun, said officers have claimed they are tasked with issuing fines worth 7,000 Rand a day. JMPD spokesperson Xolani Fihla says officers are required to issue the fines only if road users violate the law. He says the primary goal is to maintain safety and order.
The performance of our officers is measured by their overall effectiveness in creating a safer environment for the community, and one of the ways is to issue citations, not by predetermined target for fines. The integrity of our operations is paramount, and all actions are taken in strict accordance with the law.
Let's stay with policing matters. 10 Ekurhuleni Metro Police officers have been arrested on corruption and theft allegations. The group is being probed by the Independent Police Investigative Directorate for allegedly taking a large sum of money during a raid in June. In addition, IPID says the group seized merchandise from a shop in Edenvale and failed to record the stock accordingly. IPID spokesperson Lizzie Subing says the officers will make their first appearance in the Germiston Magistrates Court tomorrow.
The members were arrested today while on duty and will appear before court tomorrow. All arrested officers are constables and one sergeant and are detained at the Germiston Police.
We shift our focus to this now. Maibuye National Convener Floyd Shibamvu says he predicts a bleak future for the MK party despite refusing to resign from the party following internal battles this year. Shibamvu was removed as the MKP's Secretary General earlier this year after an unsanctioned trip to visit fugitive Shepherd Bushiri's church in Malawi. He later began a consultation process to determine if there is an appetite for a new political party in the country. At the time of the announcement, more than a month ago, Shibamvu had reiterated he would not be quitting the MKP despite his political ambitions at Maibuye. But speaking in the Western Cape during an open meeting with Maibuye volunteers at the weekend, Shibamvu had strong words about what he still considers his current political home.
What I know is that in 10 years' time, Mkhonto weSizwe will not be existing. It doesn't have the capacity, the fortitude, ideologically, spiritually, organizationally to could outlive its current problems.
And police are on a manhunt for a U.S. veteran accused of fatally shooting 4 people in Montana. Michael Paul Brown allegedly fled to nearby foothills after the incident. 4 people died as Brown opened fire at a local pub in the city of Anaconda on Friday morning. Authorities have now offered a reward of more than $7,000 for any information that will lead to his capture. Many businesses have been forced to shut down after that incident, and numerous public events have been cancelled due to the ongoing manhunt. A fine Tuesday in store for Gauteng tomorrow. Lows of between 2 and 6 degrees and highs of between 21 and 23.
Joburg CBD expect more than a 20-minute delay on the M1 South from Killarney Bends all the way to the Crown Interchange. Driving through Alexandra, there's more than a 30-minute delay. This is on the N3 southbound between the Batlu Interchange and Van Buren, and in Protea Glen, Soweto. Bumper-to-bumper traffic on the R559 main road opposite GOG Gardens.
The top story in EWN, the JMPD has denied claims that it has set a 7,000 Rand daily traffic fine issuing target for its officers.
Before the president has his national dialogue,
the people will have theirs.
This Wednesday, join Clement Maniatela for the People's Dialogue
on 702.
The questions won't be scripted, the truths won't be polished,
but the voices will be heard.
Dear Mr. President,
lend us your ears.
Because before policies, there are people.
And before power, there is accountability.
The People's Dialogue with Clement Maniatela.
You've watched, you've waited.
Now you speak.
To the country, to the president,
to each other.
Wednesday, 6 August.
From 9 to 12, only on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
You know a great kids venue when you see it. The wide-eyed excitement, the sugar-fueled joy, and parents finally getting a moment to breathe. These are the places that turn birthdays into core memories, with safe play areas, fun themes, and thoughtful service that makes everyone feel welcome. If there's a spot that brings the magic every time, now's your chance to say, I see you. Nominate your favorite under Greatest Kids Party area at primemediaplus.com, because Gauteng isn't just the hub of business, it's the home of excellence, and excellence deserves your applause. Gauteng's Greatest Awards with 702, powered by Yoko. Let Yoko counter fuel your business to greatness. Go to yoko.com and explore the new point of sale solution, saving hundreds of businesses time and money.
When it comes to protecting your workforce, trust the workwear brand that has been protecting workers for over 150 years, Sweetall. Sweetall has overalls and uniform solutions for every industry, so your team is safe, comfortable, and ready to tackle any challenge. Visit our new Boksburg showroom, shop A1 Atlas Road, Westwood, Boksburg, or go to sweetall.com today. Sweetall, we never let you down. Superior protective workwear since 1871.
Celebrate Women's Month in style with Hollywood Bets and Spinner Zonke. Take fearless shots at fantastic fortunes with our special selection of fierce female-themed games. Kick back, relax, and entertain yourself with the ultimate slot escape. Let Arto put you in a carnival mood. Indulge in anime fantasy with Nine Tails, or embark on fire-breathing adventures in Dragon Kingdom. Supercharge your slots and bet now. T's and C's apply. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counseling line 0800 006 008.
Dear Journal, trying to be an adult day 3471. Fridays at work used to be great. 3 p.m., laptops off, music on, even a cheeky beer. Now I just sit with Teams open and pray that Monet from finance doesn't message me at 4:57 p.m.
Hating the corporate 9 to 5? Get covered at pineapple.co.za. It's easy and like 19 Rand a day, so it's 100% the insurance for you. Underwritten by Old Mutual Alternative Risk Transfer Insurer Limited, a licensed non-life insurer and authorized FSP. Premiums are risk profile dependent.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Hi John. Johan here. John, I would like to know from your guest who is coming, who is representing Mercedes-Benz East London, to at least give us some indication of what is the value or how many cars out of the total production of Mercedes-Benz is exported to US. Probably it's because I don't have enough information, but I just want to get that insights to see if we are really not overhyping these US tariffs, or it is what it is. Thank you.
Dr. John, you're speaking to Mujalfa in Binoni. If you guys can give me a call so that I can explain my situation. I've got my brother. He's at one of the how do you call it, rehab centers in Limpopo. I'm not sure I can disclose the name of the center, but then he's doing quite good. There is a massive improvement, but I can say that I'm not sure if they are legally registered or what, but by the look of things, it looks like they are. But then the way they handle our kids there, sure, it's manhandling. Whipping them, closing them in the confined spaces and torturing them up until they're okay. I'm not sure that is the right way of doing it, but then if it is, unfortunately, there's nothing that I can do. But if it's not, then unfortunately, I will have to report this somewhere else. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, earlier we had a conversation, very, very interesting one indeed. If you did miss it, let me just give you the exact reference for it. 10 to 4. Dwayne Bernard, who's operations manager at the Design for Living Foundation, and we're looking at the problems of South Africa's hopelessly inadequate number of rehab centers for people who have a problem with drug addiction. And I did ask people to please call in if any of your family members are in a situation where you've had to find somewhere where A, they can find some sort of sanctuary, but B, I would imagine where you and others whose lives can be torn apart by people with addiction problems can find some kind of peace of mind as well. On the Mercedes question, I couldn't, even if I had got your message, I wouldn't have put it to the guest because they weren't from Mercedes-Benz. I do not have the numbers of how much they export to the United States, but I think it really is a large volume. But when you say, are we making too much of it? I absolutely do not think so. And I'll give you two numbers or 2 points. Earlier this year, production was suspended for several weeks due to reduced demand. And then an announcement in June 2024 that 700 jobs would be shed. The only thing that gets more serious than that is 750 or 800. I mean, but 700 jobs, if you consider the downstream implications, both at a family level, but also at a small business or medium-sized business level, the implications are absolutely grave. So, no, I don't think we're overstating it at all. 16 minutes to 5.
EWN Sport.
So, Tolakele, earlier today we got this message from Alfred who said, John, I thought England only needed 35 runs from 5 wickets to win this morning. I think they had 4 wickets, but Alfred's point still stands. How did they end up losing this match? Really, in block capitals? How did they lose the match?
2 words, John. Mohammad Siraj, he took 5 for 104 as India beat England by 6 runs in that 5th test as the series finished level at 2-2. The home side lost 4 wickets for just 28 runs as they were bowled out for 367, while India claimed their narrowest win margin in a test match. The series was Shabnan Gill's first in charge, and he's proud of how his team performed.
70 odd runs, 7 wickets in hand. The way Brooke and Root were going, not many teams in the world would have given themselves a chance. But this team believes that whenever we have some kind of an opening, we can get through that opening. And that's what we were talking about once Brooke was out and then we got early wicket of Bethel, that this is our opening. Let's try to build pressure on them.
The pick of the MTN8 semi-finals will see defending champions Orlando Pirates up against Mamelodi Sundowns. Miguel Cardoso says it'll take a near-perfect performance from them to end the Buccaneers' 3-year reign as they also look to win a first domestic cup since 2022.
I believe we are up to the challenges. They are big, but we are up to them. I think that us and Pirates are for sure in a moment in an emotional, discomfortable position, but we knew that this could happen. Here or on the final, it will be always a challenge for both teams. So let the best one win.
The Lions have officially announced the signing of junior Springbok Batu Hlegani ahead of the United Rugby Championship as he joins from the Sharks. Hlegani's deal with the Durban side was set to run until the 31st of December, but the Lions secured his early arrival following an injury to Izan Esterhuizen. At the same time, New Zealand head coach Scott Robson has named one uncapped player in his squad for the Rugby Championship. That one gets underway with their back-to-back tests in Argentina. Flanker Simon Parker was included for the first time, while Tavita Malefo, Kyle Preston and Leroy Carter are named as injury cover. Tolagele Mganga, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
Let's find out what's happening out on the roads. If you're in the Joburg CBD, you are going to be in the Joburg CBD for quite a while by all accounts. Karabo.
Yes, you can expect about a 20-minute delay through there. That's on the M1 southbound between Killarney Benz and the Crown Interchange. Parktown also traffic remains sluggish on Empire Road approaching the M1 due to roadworks. Protea Glen, bumper-to-bumper traffic on the R559 opposite GOG Gardens. While if you're driving through LX heading towards Germiston, you can expect more than a 30-minute delay on the N3 southbound from the Butlu Interchange all the way to Van Buren. In Edenvale, traffic also heavily backed up traveling towards Bedfordview, R24 westbound from Edenvale Road to the Gililis Interchange, and in Kempton Park, traveling towards Tembisa, expect some delays on the R21 northbound between the R24 and Atlas Road. If you come across any other traffic issues, please SMS us on 31702. We are also on X at EWN Traffic.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
702 Drive, just one more on the words that people do not like hearing. They feel they're overused. Jay says, the word I feel people use relentlessly is bro, like bro, yo bro, listen bro, drives me crazy. And makes a point as well with regards to the MBSA plant, Mercedes-Benz, referring to our story in East London. It's not only supply chain companies, but vendors, cooks, transport shops and municipalities as a whole, I imagine. Sad, really, that we're not at a point where we are now at a point where our livelihoods are being decided by politicians playing monopoly. And Jay, I guess with a bit of self-irony, says, bro, it's getting scary out here. Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. The use of the word bro, I don't think I mind it much.
Yeah, no, I don't mind it. I use chief. Hey, chief.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay. The best use of the word bro, by the way, was in Seinfeld, where I'm trying to remember the name of the characters, but I know one was Jerry Seinfeld's father, and I think the other was Kramer. And they were coming up with an idea that they were going to design bras for men, but they couldn't decide what to call them, and they couldn't weigh up the decision between calling it a man's-ear or a bro. I don't think it worked. I don't think it ever took off. I've got a very different question, though, for you, and this was prompted by something I saw on X. I thought it was very, very funny. Someone started a thread. I do not know them. The account is called @StreetPigeon, and the question they asked is: at what point in the job interview did you realize that you weren't going to get the job? And this one was sent in and says, she asked me, why should we give you the job? And I said, will you do it yourself? Nope, I don't think so. And then this one, we like people who can work tirelessly under pressure here. There are no days off. Whenever we call, you respond. To which the person who didn't get the job said, me? No wonder this position is vacant. Now, I would assume that some people would have had made moves that were perhaps as less extreme, but maybe you've got a story to tell, that moment when you realized in the job interview, nope, this is not going well. This is not going well at all. Tola Kele, has that happened to you?
Honestly, no. I always, in my head, I'm like, it would be this company's loss if they don't hire me. Because I tell a little joke during the interview. We all laugh. We all discuss what's required of me. And I feel like I can handle what that job requires. So that's why I never feel like I'll never get that job. Even if they say to me, do you work well under pressure? I'll say yes, even though I don't.
Yes.
There's no need for them to know that while I'm in the interview.
So I think when I realized I wasn't going to get the first job I asked for, I went to a records shop that had opened nearby. And I knew a lot about music. I loved music. And the guy said to me, have you had any experience? And I said, absolutely none whatsoever. And the look on his face was not just, that this guy may not be the right guy, but, just he has no game whatsoever. Karabo, any experience?
Yeah, I remember when I was still young, trying to get a piece job for while I'm in varsity. So I rocked up wearing a t-shirt and jeans and sneakers. And the person who was interviewing me was like, immediately, how can you come to an interview dressed like that? And he gave me this long lecture, and I just left that interview knowing very well I'm not getting that job.
Yeah, no, I would suggest that was very, very clear indeed. 702 Drive, maybe you've got a story. 011 883 0702 072 7021 702. It's 9 minutes to 5.
Drive home with John Perlman
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
So let's turn to this now. The G20, it's South Africa's year. A key part of the G20 is the B20. It's a forum where people involved in the world of business, be they experts, company CEOs, people involved in various business formations, analysts and so on, are also putting their heads together. We're spending time talking about that. The B20 in brief is brought to you by Standard Bank, your weekly window into the key insights and conversations shaping the B20 summit. Now, part of the B20 is what's called the South Africa Trade and Investment Task Force, and they're looking at policy proposals in these incredibly difficult times that will support open, sustainable, and inclusive global trade. One of the participants in that is my next guest, Busi Mavuso, CEO at Business Leadership South Africa. Very good afternoon to you. Ms. Mavuso, I would have thought one of the difficult things about having these conversations is that, the global trading system literally is changing on a daily basis. How are you coping with these turbulent winds?
I think there is a lot happening at the moment, but fortunately, John, it's not just a South Africa issue. It is a world issue. I think the global economy has been seriously impacted by the global tensions, by the tariff impact, that all of us are actually facing. So it's very interesting conversations. But when you look at the conversations that we are having from a B20 perspective, which is the business arm of the G20, we are looking at developing policies that will ensure that global trade and investment is sustainable. So here are some of the issues that are coming out, for instance, are the promotion of stability in global trade and improved market access through pragmatic reform and sustained multilateralism. We're looking at issues such as the creation of a new trade and investment deal for Africa, accelerating growth and global economic participation. We're looking at issues like building a climate-responsive system for international trade and investment that helps facilitate a just transition. So you see that we actually look at broader issues, not just current issues. But current issues become important because whatever these current issues are actually very impactful, on the trade climate and environment actually at the moment. So those are the recommendations, for instance, we're going to be taking to the G20, come the G20 summit in November, and we are hoping that the prime ministers and the presidents that are actually sitting in the G20 will take into consideration some of the changes that we are proposing should actually be implemented.
It must be a very exciting environment because, as you said right at the beginning, this affects everybody around the world. And indeed, you've got some of the best minds from all over the world putting their heads together and coming up with ideas. Do you, though, candidly share some of the frustrations that I think people in the world of business would have with governments in general? And, perhaps ours is more difficult than most, but I doubt we're unique. In regards to the actual fact of difficulties. I mean, what kind of things are people saying about how you can get governments to do more than just say, wow, great idea, we'll get back to you?
And that is why the G20 and the B20 platform therefore have to come up with common issues amongst all of the countries. Because as you rightfully say, these are issues that some of the issues affect all of us. For instance, as our economies. One of those issues, for instance, would be the issue of CBAM being the Carbon Border Adjustment Mechanism, which is a tax that is actually going to be levied by the EU in terms of the imports, or rather us exporting goods into the EU. They are looking at what the carbon content is in some of those products, and they are saying if you don't reduce your carbon content in the product, we are definitely going to start imposing this carbon tax, as it were. So this affects all the countries that are currently exporting to the EU are sitting with the same. So one of the conversations, for instance, is to say, is there a possibility to take to the G20 a proposal which says that allow us to some kind of concession, allow us to deal with the energy transition, for an extended period of time, so that this tax actually comes in 2040, 2045 instead of 2030, right? Because then the decarbonization is not just a South Africa problem; it's an entire, global problem, as it were. So those are the issues then, and as soon as you have one issue which affects many countries, then it will actually find better favor with the G20 governments and the G20 presidents than if it is an issue that just affects South Africa. If it is an issue that just affects one country anyway, John, it wouldn't be entertained on the B20 platform, because that is not what that platform is for. It is not for us to actually deal with country issues. It is rather global economic issues.
Thank you so much. Busi Mavuso, CEO at Business Leadership South Africa, will continue every Monday to look closely at some of the important issues coming up in the business section of the G20 initiative. At the heart of global conversations shaping the future, Africa's voice matters more than ever. As Africa's largest bank by assets and lead sponsor of the B20 summit, Standard Bank Group is proud to spotlight the continent's growth, partnerships and potential on the world stage. Through informed dialogue and powerful partnerships, Standard Bank is driving sustainable growth where it matters most. Standard Bank is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider.
702 Afternoons
with Relebogile Maboja, 1 to 3 p.m.
In terms of some of the common misconceptions around pregnancy and cancer, what are those common misconceptions? Because I feel like the natural assumption would be, oh, you get a cancer diagnosis when you're pregnant, then it's over, that's it.
Just because you've been diagnosed with cancer, we can still preserve your fertility or your child depending on what type of cancer you have and what stage your pregnancy is. So whatever we do, we want the mother to be safe as well as the baby to be safe. So that's the misconception, that you can't go for therapy or you can't keep your child when you've been diagnosed with cancer.
Dr. Nokwanda Zuma, clinical and radiation oncologist.
702 Afternoons
with Relebogile Maboja.
Let's walk the talk.
Celebrate Women's Day in style with exclusive platinum or golden standing tickets to see Grammy Award-winning singers Anthony Hamilton and Joe Thomas. Enjoy complimentary seating, dedicated bar areas and restrooms, and the freedom to bring your own picnic blankets for a relaxed, unforgettable experience. Happening at the iconic DP World Wanderers Stadium in Sandton, they'll be joined by South Africa's multi-award-winning singers, the incomparable Zonke, Sjava and Vusi Nova. Get your tickets now on CompuTicket or webtickets.co.za. Brought to you by Soulful Night, Vertex Events and 702.
Welcome to Nando's Customer Care. How can I fire up your...
Finally, can I actually just speak to the manager? It's about the chicken. Why did you marinate it for 24 hours? 24 hours, 86,400 seconds to marinate. Why? Well, I mean, it is really tender, juicy, and that delicious Nando's peri-peri flavor just warms me up. And then you add any 3 sharing sides, and I guess, well, there is nothing like it. But that is my complaint. I can't complain.
Nando's, fire it up.
You're with John Perlman
on 702.
Coming up on a 702 Drive after 5 o'clock, we'll be chatting to the new acting police minister, Feroz Kachalia. Looking forward to get his take on the task ahead. He'll be with us at about 10 past 5. It's 5 o'clock now.
This is EWN.
Some illegal miners granted bail after resurfacing from the Sheba gold mine, and the legal battle over the burial of Zambia's former president continues. Good afternoon, I'm Bali Dlamini. 7 of the nearly 500 illegal miners arrested at the Sheba gold mine in Barberton in Mpumalanga have been granted bail of 2,000 rand each. The mass arrests took place on Friday during the police's Operation Valumkoti. The group made their first appearance in the Barberton Magistrates Court today, facing charges including trespassing, possession of gold-bearing equipment and contravening the Immigration Act. Their appearance came just hours after 24 more miners were arrested after resurfacing from the same shaft today. Mongezi Koko reports.
Proceedings were marred by logistical challenges as the court struggled to find a room large enough to hold all the accused. The miners were divided into smaller groups, packed into the dock, benches and even along the courtroom walls. All of the accused had to indicate whether they would be using legal aid. However, this may not be possible for some who have been flagged as undocumented migrants. The first group of 41 to appear requested bail, with only 7 successful at 2,000 rand each. One hurdle is that a single lawyer may only represent a limited number of accused, adding to delays in verifying addresses. Mongezi Koko, Eyewitness News.
Let's stay in the courts. Lawyers for the family of Zambia's former head of state, Edgar Lungu, say he should be treated as an ordinary citizen after he was stripped of his perks by the current government. The battle between Lungu's family and the Zambian government is playing out in the Pretoria High Court. The court heard arguments on whether Lungu should be buried in South Africa or in Zambia, and if the current president there, Hakainde Hichilema, should preside over the ceremony. The former Zambian president died in June while receiving medical attention in South Africa. Khomotso Modise has more.
Lawyers for the Zambian government have argued that there's a clear judicial precedent in Zambian law stating that with a person of significant national interest, the wishes of that person and the family must yield to the broader public interest. But the Lungu family lawyer contends that the former president, Edgar Lungu, was rendered an ordinary citizen when the current government stripped him of his perks in 2023, including a salary and retirement benefits. This move was prompted by Lungu's return to active politics. The lawyer for the Lungu family has also argued that it would be undignified for the court to force the family to have Zambian President Hakainde Hichilema, Lungu's political rival, preside over his funeral. The Pretoria High Court has reserved judgment, with Deputy Judge President Aubrele Dwaba saying it will be handed down before the end of the week. Khomza Modise, Eyewitness News.
Despite appearing to have their backs against the wall, South Africa's trade negotiators say talks continue in a bid to clinch a better deal. Pretoria has until Friday at midday before the 30% duty on exports to the U.S. takes effect. The unilateral tariffs by the U.S. will come despite intensified talks and attempts to sweeten the deal first tabled in Washington in May. Trade and Industry Minister Park Stau and International Relations Minister Ronald Lamola held a joint press briefing in the east of Joburg today. Tau says he refuses to play the blame game, opting instead to focus on what's described as a tough negotiating environment.
It is a complex negotiating environment that in many instances is actually unprecedented. It's unprecedented to enter into trade negotiations on the basis of the situation we're currently in, and we're going to have to navigate that. At this point, we are focused on the task and not focused on who to blame. We'll leave that to others.
To this now, strong opposition has been expressed against the marriages bill in Kimberley today, where several religious leaders and scholars have taken issue with the inclusion of same-sex unions. During Parliament's public hearings, several representatives of the Christian political parties Hope for SA accused MPs of wanting to impose secular views on the country. They say marriage officers cannot be punished for refusing to conduct same-sex unions when it goes against their religious beliefs. Lindsay Dentlinger takes a look.
The marriage bill aims to regularize all marriages under a single law, irrespective of religion, sexual orientation or cultural beliefs. It would do away with the Civil Union Act, which for almost 20 years has legalized same-sex unions in South Africa. But Hope for SA pastor Andre Strauss contended the Kimberley community remains largely opposed to such marriages.
If the same-sex marriage is counted with real marriage, it will weaponize sin promotion and persecution. If this bill gets passed, state marriage officers can lose their jobs and wedding venue owners can be sued if they refuse because of their Christian religion.
The ACDP's Zailid Khomongwe said the bill undermines the traditional definition of marriage and it does not represent the values of many South Africans.
The ACDP believes that the traditional family unit with a mum and a dad is essential to the well-being of our society.
The hearings continue. Lindsay Dentlinger, Eyewitness News.
And Lebanese President Joseph Aoun has vowed justice and accountability, 5 years after a catastrophic explosion at Beirut's port. Nobody has been held accountable for the 2020 blast, which was one of the world's largest non-nuclear explosions, killing more than 220 people and injuring over 6,500. Authorities have said the explosion was triggered by a fire in a warehouse where tons of ammonium nitrate fertilizer had been stored haphazardly for years after arriving by ship, despite repeated warnings to senior officials. Gold is trading at $3,367.97 an ounce. The rand is at 18.01 to the dollar, 23.94 to the pound, 20.84 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $69.67 a barrel.
Kempton Park expect more than a 20-minute delay on the R21 northbound between the R24 Barbara off-ramp and Atlas Road. Driving through Alex heading towards Germiston, also about a 30-minute delay on the N3 southbound between the Batoon Interchange and Van Buren, and traveling through the Joburg CBD, there's about a 20-minute delay on the M1 South between Killarney Bairns and the Crown Interchange.
In your sport, Thembinkosi launches future at Mamelodi Sundowns in limbo. Bayern Munich's Alexander Pavlovich suffers an eye socket fracture, and one-arm Chris Woakes lauded for his batting efforts as England lose the fifth test against India.
A fine Tuesday in store for Gauteng tomorrow. Johannesburg dropping to overnight lows of 6 degrees, peaking at 21. Pretoria 6 and 23, and Vereeniging 2 and 22 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour: 7 of the nearly 500 illegal miners arrested at the Sheba Gold Mine in Barberton have been granted bail of R2,000 each.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
7:02.
Drive home with John Perlman.
John Perlman, 3 to 6 p.m.
On 92.7 and 106 FM. Let's walk the talk.
8 minutes past 5 on 702 Drive. It's great to have you with us. Let me just tell you that if you want to not just listen to us, but also watch us at work, we are live streamed on YouTube. Go to YouTube, and what you do is you type in 702 Drive with John Perlman live, and you'll find us there. It'll be great to see you, and we will always give you a very, very friendly wave to say hi and welcome. Something new for us, something new we hope for you, and I hope you'll enjoy it as much as we are already enjoying it. You can, by the way, comment on YouTube as well and give your views on the big stories of the day. One of the things that I just wanted to say, having heard that item leading in Bali Dlamini's bulletin, is that earlier in the conversation when we were talking to Hethan Hira from the gold mining company Pan-African Resources about the kind of charges that the miners who've been arrested actually face, I tended to think most of them would just be facing charges of contravening the Immigration Act, but made very, very clear through Mongezi Koko's report that they are actually facing charges of trespassing and possession of gold-bearing equipment. So this could get serious. We'll see if it does. All of that coming up. Speaking of law and order, over the next 20 minutes or so, we're going to be chatting to the new acting police minister, Mr. Firoz Kachalia. Looking forward to getting his take on this particular story and some others as well. That's coming up right here on 702 Drive. We will also be bringing you the very latest traffic news. That's in a moment. Some problem areas in the center of Joburg. Steeldale was struggling a little bit earlier as well, and I believe we've got some problems in Kempton Park as well. Karabo Chale has all those details. Last part of the show, we've got some great music for you. But of course, we need your great music as well. We'll tell you exactly what we're looking for later in the show. Just one more thing on the gold mining before we get into the rest of the show. Salome says, do we have intelligence, Ray, this illegal mining? It is a question that perennially that comes up all the time. Why use a long, complicated word you can't pronounce when you can just put it more simply? Comes up all the time. Salome continues, why can't we crack who buys the gold? From Zama Zamas, we will never win the battle, she says, if we don't arrest the people who buy the gold. Yeah, I think that's putting the truth pretty plainly. Maybe you've got a view on that as well. 11 minutes past 5, we asked you earlier, rather lightheartedly, was there a job interview when you knew fairly clearly at some point, nope, I've messed this up, I will not be getting this job? This is what some of you had to say.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Oh, John, mine. Quite interesting. Sorry about that. Quite interesting. Aubrey here, Pretoria. It's 1994 post-elections. A flight to Cape Town, government sponsored, because you're going for an interview. Firstly, you miss the plane's time. By the next plane will be about an hour or so. Then you find yourself not being on time, and by the time you get there, people are already packing to go home. Obviously, that's a first sign. And then by the time they ask me that same question, I said, yeah, I'm so motivated. You can even say, and I reached out for my novel. By then I was reading Tim Robbins' The 7 Steps of blah, blah, blah. And I'm so motivated. And everybody looked at each other and they just put their hands on the table. And just there and there, you felt, you've lost that job. So I guess that was a sign. But I must say, besides anything else that I missed, at least I happened to get a first flight to Cape Town for the first time post 1994. So yeah, my experience, the bittersweet. Thank you.
Hi, Ntate John. I'm just wondering how people are lucky enough to get interviews. Like, I've applied for hundreds of jobs this year and I haven't had a single interview. So I'm just wondering, I want to get asked questions. I don't get asked anything because I don't even make it to the interview. Maybe once in a while I'll get an email back saying, we regret to inform you.
Yeah, very much the poignant side of the question we asked. Thank you for those. Keep them coming on 072 702 1702, 13 minutes past 5.
EWN Traffic.
This Eyewitness News Traffic is brought to you by Outsurance in partnership with 702. I mentioned problems in Kempton Park. Rabochale has all of those details.
Yes, those delays still persist. In the Kempton Park area, expect about a 20-minute delay on the R21 northbound between the R25 Barbara off-ramp and Atlas Road. This is unusual delays at this time of the hour, so if you're on that route, it's not yet clear what's causing this delay. If you're on the route, please let us know what's happening. You can WhatsApp us on 072-702-1702. We are also on X at EWN Traffic. There's also slow-moving traffic. That's in the Edenvale area heading towards Bedford View, R24 westbound between Edenvale Road and the Gilulis interchange. Driving through Alex heading towards Germiston, there's about a 30-minute delay on the N3 southbound from the Butlu interchange all the way to Van Buren. Sunning Hill traffic also a bit sluggish on Witkoppen Road between Rivonia Road and Maxwell. Joburg CBD, you can still expect more than a 20-minute delay. That's M1 South from Killarney Benz all the way to the Crown interchange. Protea Glen also bumper-to-bumper traffic on the R559. That's opposite GOG Gardens. And in Rudeport, heading towards Lerato and Kagiso, expect some delays. This is on Randfontein Road between Collard Avenue and Adcock Street. I'll have your next Eyewitness News traffic update just after 5:30.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Clever late excuse number 77. I tried a new route and got lost. Fortunately, with the OUTsurance Pointsman on the roads, you no longer have to come up with creative excuses for being late. The OUTsurance Pointsman, easing traffic congestion and getting you there quickly and safely since 2005. OUTsurance really means it when they say you always get something out. In proud partnership with 702. Show them some love online using #PointsmenLove. OUTsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
702 Drive. Okay, we were hoping to speak to the new acting Minister of Police, not having any luck actually getting hold of him. We'll keep on trying that. Possibly it's something we might end up doing tomorrow, but the production team are busy with that. But let's turn to another very important story indeed. Now, there's been quite a number of recalls of South African vehicles. You may recall there was the VW recall, there was Volvo e-vehicles, I think were recalled at some point. Ford Rangers were definitely recalled, I think 10 days ago or so. VW Polo sedans, I think were, if not recalled here, then in other parts of the world. And the most recent ones are in South Africa. This is to do with the 34 LX600 models of the Lexus vehicles. So what is going on? Because in The Citizen, they have this headline, are there any safe cars left on South African roads? I suspect they're not necessarily saying that the answer is yes, but they're asking a question that is concerning quite a few people. Are these vehicles being recalled because the safety systems are tighter, or are we going through a bad patch of some kind? And if so, what's it due to? Well, let's speak to somebody who will certainly know what's going on. Michael Mabasa is the CEO of NAMSA, the Automobile Manufacturers Association in South Africa. Mr. Mabasa, welcome and thanks very much for your time. First of all, is this level of recall unusual? And if it is, what's going on?
It is definitely not unusual, John. Good afternoon. It's part of our standard operating procedure. So what is currently happening is that there are a number of customers who are no longer on the system, because remember, if you buy a new car, John, today, we keep your information on our systems so that if anything happens to that car, we can be able to reach you because you were able to buy that car directly with the manufacturer. Now, a lot of people are obviously selling their vehicles, the economy, because of a number of reasons. And what we are finding is that because those customers are no longer on our systems, because that vehicle has moved on to a second and in some cases to a third customer, we now obviously have to activate different strategies in order for us to be able to reach those customers. And we've obviously decided that it is important to obviously issue public announcements as well, so that we can be able to make sure that we are able to reach as many customers. But it's definitely not unusual. It's something that we do as part and parcel of making sure that we're able to update our systems.
What is the process, or perhaps maybe the sequence is a better one? What leads to a recall? Perhaps you could take us through the steps. Is it a volume of customer complaints? I mean, I would assume that once vehicles are out of the showroom, the dealer wouldn't necessarily know how they're performing.
Yeah, look, I think the technology is changing quite very fast. We today in 2025 driving computers on wheels than we did 10, 15 years ago. So our cars are obviously there's a lot of technologies in those particular vehicles, and we need to be able to update in many cases, for example, software, which under normal circumstances you are not able to update it yourself at home and so on. So there is obviously that particular key element that is in our vehicles today than it was previously, and that's why it is important for us to make sure that we are able to keep our customers informed. But as it relates to safety, many of these recalls are not necessarily safety related. There was one which we call Takata recall, which has to do with the airbags. That one was a safety recall where the deployment of airbags was not as effective as we initially thought, and there were vehicles obviously that installed that particular Takata technology, and we needed to be able to bring those vehicles back. Fortunately, John, in South Africa, we have not had any incident of fatalities in relation to Takata, and many of our customers and road users were able to bring those vehicles back so that we can be able to make sure that they are fitted with the right software, and the airbags are able to deploy when they're supposed to.
It's a very interesting thing that people have to deal with. Well, it's not interesting. I think it's complicated. Let me use a different word. Mr. Mabasa, I mean, if I've got to bring my car back, I'm without a vehicle, I may need to make other transport arrangements. There's a cost implication. Is there a compensation system, for example? Is there a standard one?
Well, normally these are scheduled, service plans that we normally prepare with all our customers. So we normally advise customers to call in into the dealership in advance so that we can be able to make alternative arrangements for them instead of just showing up because you've heard something on the radio. Like for an example, when you bring in your car for a normal service, you just don't rock up. You just make a call, and then so that we can be able to either arrange there's one, or we are able to get it to your next destination. Vehicle is being looked at. Obviously, in cases where the recall and the service of that particular vehicle is going to be prolonged, normally dealerships are expected, obviously, to find an alternative vehicle for the customer in order for the customer not to be inconvenienced, particularly during that particular time when the vehicle is actually being serviced.
But if you look, for example, Mr. Mabasa, at the Ford, I think it was an EcoSport, they also recalled some Rangers as well as some Everests. I mean, the total of vehicles affected, 5,718. There's no way, well, let me not say that. It is unlikely to me that they would be able to make sure everybody else has wheels.
Well, that's why I'm saying, John, that we obviously have to make other alternative arrangements in cases where the customer is comfortable just to be dropped back at their nearest destination, whether it's at home or at the office. We obviously welcome that so that it does not put pressure on the dealership to arrange an alternative transport for that particular customer. And obviously, many of these recalls, we try also to lessen and to reduce the amount of time they're actually at the dealership, because the more vehicles you have at the same time, because remember, when you do have a recall, it does not necessarily mean that the service or the maintenance of other vehicles that are coming in on a regular basis for other things, whether it's an oil change or a regular 15,000 service, will not be coming through. So you obviously also have to manage the inflow of those vehicles into our service stations so that we are able to not inconvenience those customers as well. So it really depends, and we normally encourage all our drivers and car owners to arrange with their dealers so that they know exactly what is expected and how long that vehicle will be in for that particular service for the recall.
And just in terms of changing regimes, I mean, you said, the industry keeps changing and so on. I mean, are we better able to detect, or rather, are you better able to detect problems with vehicles? Because if I look again at the Ford example, these EcoSports were made between April 2021 and July 2022. Those are cars that were built and sold a long time ago. Can we expect these things to be detected more quickly?
Yeah, absolutely. With the changing technology that we have, absolutely, we are able to now, going into the future, detect these changes as they are required. As I indicated, John, many of our vehicles, move on software, and we're able to know, for an example, what's happening in different vehicles without necessarily being in those particular vehicles. I think the challenge we have, particularly in the South African context, and this is what we are now having conversations with the RTMC, because of POPIA, which is obviously your private information, we are not able to access some of our customers as fast as we would like to see. Because we cannot have access to some of the private information of those particular customers, particularly when a vehicle has moved on to a second or a third customer. So we are now working with the RTMC because through eNatis, they have those registrations details of the new customer who bought a second-hand vehicle.
Yes.
And through them, we are then able to track those customers so that we can be able to, bring them on board and obviously inform them. Because currently, the customers that we're able to access directly are those that are still owning brand new vehicles. They haven't changed those vehicles. They're still the owners because that data is sitting with us. We now want to be able to, and that the reason why we are going public is because now we are getting into those customers who are now driving second-hand vehicles, which were bought 10, 15 years ago.
Thank you very much, Michael Mabaso, guest. He is the CEO of the automobile manufacturers umbrella body NAMSA. I'm very keen to know, by the way, I mean, have you been involved with a vehicle recall? Have you had to take your vehicle back? And if so, what kind of inconvenience has that caused you? And were you able to do it straight away? I mean, some of these vehicles are recalled for issues that have significant safety implications. I would think most people wouldn't want to delay that, but it does put people in a very, very tight corner indeed. Give us a call on that if you've got a story to share. 072 702 1702. I did ask you about when in a job interview did you know you were not getting the job? Lolly says, short answer on the question. I was asked as a female applicant when I plan to have children. My reply was, quote, show me the relevance of the question and then I will answer it. Keep those stories coming, please, your responses to the question I asked or anything else. Quite a few of you also commenting on Zamas and the failure, it would seem, to not only arrest people involved in the buying and enabling syndicates that have made this such a huge problem in our country, but also just the failure to tell us who they are. I don't think I've heard anything that really nails down exactly who these Zama syndicates are. Vivian says, nice watching John Perlman's show. I listen every day. So nice to put a face to the names. Well done, team. Thank you very much. Vivian, if you don't know about it, you can go to YouTube and you can readily find us on YouTube there. Just type in 702 Drive John Perlman live. That'll probably call us up. It's 27 minutes past 5.
EWN Business.
Right, let's get the very latest from the markets. Stephen Curtis is back.
Good afternoon to you, John. The JSE All Share ending the day at 1.6% at 99,312 points, helped largely by resources, sort of a bumper set of trading statement from Goldfields, I think, having a big impact on that. Financials up 0.5%, industrials up 1.1%, and resources up 4.62% on the day. So Goldfields reporting, they're just putting out a trading statement and operational performance for the 6 months to the end of June, and they say that their headline earnings per share are expected to be around 200% higher than for the same period to the end of June last year. Now, the main reason for this, obviously, is that they've been selling a lot more gold at a much higher price, and that's really helped it to lift resources. But it is also a higher sort of price day, a higher gold price day let me call it that from now on. A higher gold price day today, partly, I think, because of what Trump did over the weekend, firing the head of the Labor Bureau, the Statistics Bureau, essentially saying that he believed that person was not doing a proper job after they reported weaker than expected figures. So that means that Anglo Gold, DRD Gold, Harmony, all of them up very, very strongly on the day, but led, of course, by Gold Fields. A little bit of a bounce after what happened on Friday. So we saw an hour market, big impact coming from the tariffs that were announced the night before. Richmond bouncing back a little bit. They're up 2.76% on the day. And Naspers also up on the day, by the way. Some consumer shares, Bidvest, Pick n Pay, Italtel, all down by around 2% today. Spar down 1.3%, MDN down 1.18% on the day as well. Impact, the paper and packaging company, saying it had good growth in containerboard. It sold lots of citrus cartons and jumbo bins, but not as many beverage crates. My first thought was that people are drinking less beer. We will ask the CEO of Impact on the Money Show tonight, which it actually is. And then shares in the East European real estate company MAS, they're up 2.25% this afternoon. Confirmation that Prime Capital, that's capital with a K, is launching its voluntary offer to buy the shares it doesn't already own. We sort of expected that after Hyprop withdrew its bid last week. We've seen in the US a little bit of a bounce. So on Friday they were down quite dramatically after Trump's action in firing the head of their bureau. And now there's a little bit of a bounce after that. So also there's an expectation now that there will be interest rate cuts because of that weaker than expected jobs data. The Dow Jones is up 1.15%, the Nasdaq up nearly 1.5%, the S&P 500 up 1.18%. The gold price heading higher, $3,374.74 an ounce. Platinum, $1,338.90. Brent crude, $69.05 a barrel. And the rand to the dollar, 17.97 to the euro, 20.79 to the British pound, 23.88. On the Money Show tonight, yes, the CEO of Impact. We'll hear also more about tariffs, and we'll speak to the incoming, I think I call her the CEO designate at KPMG. I'm fascinated by the impact that artificial intelligence is going to have on fields like accounting. You know, if a computer can do a lot of it for you,
right,
at what point do you actually need a human being? Everyone I've spoken to who's ever done auditing, you know, that period you have to do, have said it's not one has said it was the highlight of their life. Not one, ever. So we will talk about that a little bit on the Money Show this evening. Stephen Krutis, EWN Business.
Thanks, Stephen. 29 minutes to 6 on a 702 Drive. Let's get the very latest eyewitness news now with Mbali Dlamini, MK Party, I understand. Mbali going back to court.
That's correct, John. A very good afternoon. The MK Party is going ahead with challenging the special leave of Police Minister Senzo Mchunu and the appointment of his temporary replacement, Feroz Kachalia. Lawyers for former President Jacob Zuma have once again written to President Cyril Ramaphosa demanding more details regarding his decisions. The party says these will better inform a case it intends to launch in the High Court. It comes after Zuma and his party lost a bid for direct access to the Constitutional Court last week to challenge the constitutionality of executive decisions taken by Ramaphosa. Lindsay Dentlinger has more.
In a legal letter fired off to President Cyril Ramaphosa this morning, MK Party leader Jacob Zuma says he's acting in various capacities, including concerned citizen, voter, taxpayer and former president. Among the extensive list of questions Zuma's lawyers want answered include the exact date and time he took the decision to place Minister Senzo Mchunu on leave and when he decided to appoint Feroz Kachalia in his place. Zuma's lawyers are questioning Kachalia's exact title, whether minister, acting minister or minister designate. His lawyers want to know for how long the taxpayers will have to pay for 2 police ministers and whether Ramaphosa still believes a commission of inquiry is necessary before he can decide whether to dismiss Mchunu from cabinet. Ramaphosa has been set a Friday deadline to respond to Zuma's questions, else face an urgent application to be launched in the High Court. Lindsay Dentlinger, Eyewitness News.
Some members of the ANC in Ekurhuleni are calling for the suspension of the party's upcoming regional elective conference. A group of branch members have sent a letter of demand to ANC Secretary-General Fikile Mbalula, urging him to put the conference, scheduled for this weekend, on hold. The disgruntled members argue that the term of the task team assigned to organize the conference has expired. The conference is expected to elect new leadership for the ANC's regional structure in Ekurhuleni. Thabiso Koba has more.
In July 2023, the Gauteng High Court overturned the ANC's elective conference in Ekurhuleni, which had elected Mzwandile Masina as the regional leader. The court nullified all decisions and outcomes of that conference, stating the ANC had violated its own constitution in organizing the event. Following the ruling, a regional task team was appointed to lead temporarily, with the mandate to oversee preparations for a new conference within 6 months. However, despite the ANC constitution requiring fresh elections within that time frame, nearly 2 years have passed since the task team took office. It is on that basis that frustrated ANC members argue that the team's mandate expired long ago and any decision it now makes should be deemed invalid. In a letter of demand, the dissatisfied branch members are calling on the ANC's national leadership to halt the upcoming conference scheduled for this weekend. Thabiso Koba, Eyewitness News.
And the city of Johannesburg says repairs to the damaged Lillian Ngoyi Street in the CBD are close to completion, with 86% of the work done. A portion of the corridor has been closed off to traffic for 2 years now due to an underground gas explosion which damaged the street. Delays to fixing that road were caused by disputes with the previous contractor, who was replaced with a new company late last year. Joburg Roads Agency CEO Zweli Nyati says repairs will be completed by the end of this month.
Despite adverse weather conditions earlier in the year, the contractor at Lillian Ngoyi site has demonstrated exceptional performance, maintaining project timelines through a revised and accelerated construction program.
A fine Tuesday in store for Gauteng tomorrow. Lows of between 2 and 6 degrees and highs of between 21 and 23.
Greenstone expect about a 30-minute delay. This is on the R25 Morafontein Road between the N3 and Parklands Drive, while in Kempton Park we still have about a 20-minute delay on the R21 northbound between the R24 Barbara off-ramp and Atlas Road, and in Sunning Hill traffic sluggish on Witkoppen Road between Rivonia Road and Maxwell Drive.
The top story in EWN this hour, the MK party is going ahead with challenging the special leave of Police Minister Senzo Mchunu and the appointment of his temporary replacement, Feroz Kachalia.
Clement Maniatella.
Weekday mornings,
9 to 12.
9 to 12.
As a company, though, how do you plan on responding? Are we likely to see inevitable job losses? Do you think that this help that government says it will provide will assist you in some way to avoid, especially, the impact on job losses?
Until I see it in writing and I see what they're proposing, I will only be able to tell you then. As you know, we're already under pressure, government, financially. We don't have money in the budget, so I don't know where they're going to find the money. From our side, look, there won't be immediate job losses in our business. My biggest priority is to make sure that I do not lose any of my staff and that we don't lay off any staff. I'm more worried about my supply chain.
Sigfried Lokoch, Operations Director at Jengamak, an automotive company in the Eastern Cape.
Clements Maniatella.
9 to 12 on 702.
It's more than just bread and butter. It's the golden croissants, the scent of fresh-baked loaves, and the deli that knows your order by heart. These are the places that rise before the sun, so your mornings start just right. If there's a bakery or deli that adds warmth, comfort, and flavor to your week, now's your chance to say, I see you. Nominate your favorite under Greatest Bakery or Deli at primemediaplus.com, because Gauteng isn't just the hub of business, it's the home of excellence. And excellence deserves your applause. Gauteng's Greatest Awards with 702, powered by Yoko. Let Yoko Counter fuel your business to greatness. Go to yoko.com to explore the new point of sale solution, saving hundreds of businesses time and money.
The blockbuster main attraction at UFC 319 in Chicago on the 17th of August sees Dricus du Plessis take on Russia's Khamzat Chimaev. Will the South African fighter become a legend and defend his middleweight title for the third time while handing the challenger his first ever defeat? Catch all the thrilling action and be in it to win it. Bet 40 Rand or more on any UFC fight between 1 July and 17 August and stand a chance to win your share of 100,000 Rand in cash and prizes. T's and C's apply. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counselling line 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp HELP to 076 675 0710.
Welcome to the brand new days. Sail the world with Norwegian Cruise Line, with more to see, more to do, and more to enjoy. Plus, upgrade your holiday with NCL's More at Sea for premium beverages, specialty dining, and much more. Think international cruising. Think NCL. For the best deals available, visit ncl.com or contact your travel agent. Restrictions apply. Welcome to the brand new days.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Hi, John. I've retired now. During our times, we got our jobs. You applied for a job advertising the newspaper, and you got it. I think I attended 4 or 5 interviews, and all of them I was successful. They even told me you come tomorrow. At times I had to tell them that, no, I can't make it. I need the break. So I'll take 2 weeks leave and then start after 2 weeks. That's Veronica from Springview. Thank you.
559, that's opposite GOG.
Uncle John, my story, I rocked up at an interview only to find that the interviewer was an ex-girlfriend's father. He didn't like me much and I knew it's a wrap. I'm not getting this job. Yeah, so matters of the heart came back to bite me.
I can just imagine walking through the door and you go, okay, how are you, sir? Yeah. And I guess it was pretty brief after that. Ketani sends us this. I had a check-in with a friend who's currently on the market looking for work. He's been attending a lot of interviews lately. In one of the companies he attended an interview with, he asked the hiring manager a question which the manager couldn't answer. He just knew from there that, no, he was not getting that job. 702 Drive, if you've got more stories about that, the question, perhaps you hadn't joined us at that point. At what point in a job interview did you realize, no, not getting this one? Give us a call on that. I bet it's a good story. I would love to hear it on 072 702 1702. 19 minutes to 6.
EWN Sport.
New football season means players are moving around. Tolakele has the latest.
Thanks so much, John. And it's Thembinkosi Lodge who looks likely to be headed out the door at Mamelodi Sundowns. That's despite him being recalled from his loan spell at Bidar Casablanca. The forward wasn't part of the squad for their 4-0 demolition of Richards Bay in the MTN 8 quarterfinals. And with the transfer window still open, Miguel Cardoso has provided this update on the former Orlando Pirates player.
Regarding Losh, like Lucas, like Peter, like Mudau, I'm not going to discuss it here, but Losh is a situation that comes from the past and also will be addressed and solved by the club, and in proper time you will have the information that it will be public considering his dossier, for sure.
Manchester United captain Bruno Fernandes has told his teammates they need to cut out the laziness following their 2-2 pre-season draw with Everton. His sentiments were echoed by coach Ruben Amorim, who said his side needs to start working on their consistency.
It's normal in our club. If you play well, they will say that we play really well. Something in the opposite side is the same thing. So we need to be really consistent. We had 2 weeks. This will not change in 2 weeks, but we are better. Even in this game, we create chances, and that is really important. But of course, I think it's the perfect feeling to go back to Carrington. I think the momentum of the tour was perfect.
Bayern Munich midfielder Alexander Pavlovich faces a spell on the sidelines after suffering an eye socket fracture in training. He's the latest star to be sidelined for the Bavarians, who are already without playmaker Jamal Musiala, who sustained a fibular fracture with a broken and dislocated ankle at the Club World Cup, while left back Alphonso Davies is out due to an ACL tear. And over to cricket, where Chris Wokes took to the field with his left arm in a sling as England fell to a 6-run defeat on the final day of their 5th test against India. Their hosts needed just 35 runs for victory, and Mohammad Siraj took 5 wickets to ensure the series ended in a 2-all draw. Ben Stokes loaded Wokes for his bravery, which would see him miss the Ashes after he sustained an injury in the field on Friday.
70 odd runs, 7 wickets in hand. The way Brooke and Root were going, not many teams in the world would have given themselves a chance. But this team believes that whenever we have some kind of an opening, we can get through that opening. And that's what we were talking about once Brooke was out and then we got early wicket of Bethel, that this is our opening. Let's try to build pressure on them.
Thalagele Mganga, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
At 17 minutes to 6, this Eyewitness News Traffic is brought to you by Outsurance in partnership with 702. So the East hasn't been great today. Kempton Park problems. Greenstone jamming up as well now.
Yeah, and it's not clear what's causing this 30-minute delay. This is on the R25 Morafontein Road between the N3 and Parkland. Unusual delays at this time of the afternoon. So if you're in and around Greenstone or on that route, please WhatsApp us on 072-702-1702. We are also on X at EWN Traffic. Kempton Park, still in Ekurhuleni, expect about a 20-minute delay on the R21 northbound between the R25 Barbara off-ramp and Atlas Road. Edenvale traffic remains heavily backed up heading into Bedfordview on the R24 westbound from Edenvale Road all the way to the Gilulis interchange. Midrand expects some delays on Olifantsfontein Road. That's approaching the N1. Driving through Alexandra, there's still more than a 30-minute delay on the N3 south from the Bethlehem interchange all the way to Van Buren. Sunning Hill traffic sluggish on Witkoppen Road between Rivonia Road and Maxwell. Joburg CBD expect about a 20-minute delay still on the M1 southbound between Killarney Bends and the Crown interchange. And in the south, in Proteas Lane, bumper-to-bumper traffic on the R559, that's opposite GOG Gardens. And finally, Roodepoort traffic is sluggish on Randfontein Road between Corlett and Adcock Street. I'll have your next Eyewitness News traffic update just after 6.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
The Outsurance pointsmen know that every car on the road carries a story. Like a man wearing his finest suit on his way to an interview. He's prepped 100 times, but he still has butterflies. I've got this. The Outsurance pointsmen know it's not just a car in traffic. It's a potential lucky break that could change someone's life. Every story's different and every story matters. That's why the Outsurance pointsmen have been doing what they do since 2005 in proud partnership with 702. Outsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
We love this part of the show where we get to talk about music that we choose, but most of all music that you respond to with some choices of your own. So today's theme comes out of a conversation that took place on Bongani Bingwa's show. He was hosting Anthony Hamilton, who is going to be performing at the Wanderers on Women's Day, a concert 702 is involved in. That's on Saturday, August the 9th, and a really fabulous show. Amor Ramela, you were around this morning when Anthony Hamilton came in, and you made the point that he's been to South Africa before, and his appetite to be here and the appetite of people to see this wonderful Grammy Award-winning performer is undiminished.
Absolutely. And even when he comes to our studios, both 702 and 947, he's welcomed with such a big, it's a hype whenever he's around. People just really love him. But he's been here many a times and people still don't get used to the fact that he's around. You know, they still enjoy to have him over. So, yeah.
And that got you thinking of a question, which is our question for the day.
Absolutely. Who is that one artist that you don't mind seeing over and over again perform? And what's that one particular song that you would like for them to perform every time you watch them live? So my one is none other than Thandiswa Mazwai, an exceptional artist. I think she's a gift to South Africa's music, especially the jazz industry. And the song that I particularly love from her work, I mean, she's done a lot. It still has to be Zabalaza. That's one of my favorite songs of hers.
Yeah, it's a big favorite song in general, not just of hers. A fantastic Sipho Sithole composition. Let's take a listen, and while you're listening to Thandiswa Mazwai and the beautiful song Zabalaza. Think about an artist who you could just see again and again. Maybe you haven't even seen them once, but you don't have to have seen them once to qualify to take part in this conversation. Tell us who you could see more than once, even if you haven't had once yet. And in particular, what is the song that you just can't wait for them to play?
Little ghetto child, ungazibulali sana. If you take my hand, I'll show you how to dream. Ay, panela, kubiyenza kalendo, emsini kabawo.
Fabulous stuff. Zabalaza, first solo album released by Thandiswa Mazwai. That's the title track. Came out in 2004. Just gets better every time I listen to it. So, favorite artist who you could see more than once. Some of you are already responding, but do give me a song choice if you can. I mean, we can pick one for you, but I'd much rather play the song that you would want to hear more than any other. 072-702-1702.
Before the president has his national dialogue,
the people will have theirs.
This Wednesday, join Clement Maniatela for the People's Dialogue
on 702.
The questions won't be scripted, the truths won't be polished,
but the voices will be heard.
Dear Mr. President,
lend us your ears.
Because before policies, there are people.
And before power, there is accountability.
The People's Dialogue with Clement Maniatela.
You've watched, you've waited.
Now you speak.
To the country, to the president,
to each other.
Wednesday, 6 August.
From 9 to 12, only on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
Enjoy the soothing sounds of the Johannesburg Philharmonic Orchestra at the opening concert of their early spring symphony season under the baton of popular conductor Aryan Tien, featuring dynamic classical trumpeter Dingaan Chabalala. The program includes Bizet's Carmen Suite and Dvorak's Popular Symphony No. 6, Thursday 7 August at 7:30 p.m. at the Linda Auditorium. Tickets available through Quicket.
Vodacom's Red Hot Deals presents more value. Get the Samsung Galaxy A05s 128 gig on a Flexi 160 plan for just $179 per month over 36 months. Enhance your deal. Add $99 extra per month to get 10 gigs of data and a free Vodacom Smart Tab 8. Available in-store and online. Miss it, miss out. T's and C's apply.
Red Hot Deals.
Further together. Vodacom.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Hi, John and the team. Good evening. That one artist that I will never get enough of is Zonke. Great performer. And I really love that track, Viva the Legend. Thanks. Debo from Victoria.
I never meant to call you in your sorrow.
So this is Alice. We'll get you up some Zonke in a moment. But Alice says, Prince, I could have seen him 1,000 times and it would not have been enough. Her choice of out of Prince's massive catalogue of hits, this one, Purple Rain.
Purple rain, purple rain. Purple rain, purple rain. Purple rain, purple rain. I wanna be some kind of friend. Hey. Baby, I can never steal you from another.
So, yeah, lovely, lovely Prince. Dumisang says, amazing show, thank you. Sending us this from Pretoria. The artist I would see on and on is Erykah Badu. The song being On and On. And it says, with an appropriate emoji. Big smile on the emoji, by the way. See what I did there. Yes, we did. Dumisang, thank you. Quite a lot of people, interestingly enough, focusing on South African artists, which is really nice. I guess what it does is say something about the artists that people have had a chance to see more of. Mandla says, take your love and keep it. Steve Kakana and Nana Coyote. Yeah, those two were fantastic in performance. Suino has a long list. Sting, probably me. Gregory Potter and Bruno Mars, Leave the Door Open. And Kingsley. One of my absolute favorite artists is Ntate Abdullah Ibrahim. And one of his many timeless classics that hits the spot for me is The Wedding Song. I've had the privilege of watching him live twice. Absolutely breathtaking. Now, Kingsley, I don't know if you were at Abdullah Ibrahim's return concert, early 1990s, Joburg City Hall. And he was playing with an American saxophonist whose name I can't recall. I can absolutely picture the guy. And he had also what was then, I think, the Joburg Symphony Orchestra. That was the most memorable rendition of that song that I can absolutely recall. 702, if you want to send us your thoughts, let's take a listen. The number to use, 072 702 1702. Let's listen finally to Zonke.
Artist that I've never seen. I would recollect somehow to see him if there was anything like that. Is Miles Davis' Kind of Blue, the best-selling ever album. And the track is Kind of Blue.
Miles Davis, kind of blue. I never ever saw him perform. Anyway, let's get into one more of your choices. A person you want to see again and again, and a song, please.
Good evening, Tete John. Good evening, 702 Lenders. My name is Bongani Tete John. Great show as always, Tete John. Tete John, my artist that I would love to sing in the morning, perform before lunch, after lunch, in the evening is Zonke. Yes, yeah, it's Zonke. Yeah, the song is Biza no Mama. Yes, yeah, and other songs as well. Thank you for the great show, Tete John. Good night, everyone.
Wonderful sound of Zonke bringing to an end today's edition of 702 Drive, the first where we have your company as well on YouTube. Thanks everybody who's taken a look and a listen and sent us some notes. I'm John Perlman. Have a great Monday. Good night.
And now, The Money Show.
With Stephen Grootes, live on 92.7 and 106 FM. Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
And DSTV channel 856.
The Money Show with Stephen Grootes is brought to you by Absa Corporate and Investment Banking. Absa is a proud lead sponsor of B20 South Africa 2025. Good evening on your Money Show tonight. Government promises support and competition exemptions for companies affected by the US tariffs, while Busisiwe Mavuso calls for an urgent national effort to deal with the crisis. KPMG's new CEO designate, Jolene Pierce, on AI and accountancy. Why Impact is selling more fruit packaging than beverage crates. And on My Money tonight, Helen McDougall